All right, welcome to day 2 of the second ever Riftlab Trials. I'm Casanova, joined by the Blevins, and we're going to be jumping in with 2 more rounds of Swiss before the cut to top 8. This is a 128-player tournament, 7 total rounds of Swiss, 5 were played yesterday. We just have those last 2, Blev, and I'm looking forward to jumping straight into the action. We've got a couple of great games ready to kick things off, and we're going to be hanging out with a friend of the channel, Kuvira, playing Darius up against Wasianswag on Kaisa to kick things off.
Yeah, what is this, the Chinese rebroadcast? We're just going to be hanging out, watching Kuvira do well. I am super excited to be back in the casting seat. It's been a few weeks. I also literally turned on my new computer for the first time about 5 minutes ago. So this is a whirlwind for me. I did not think I was going to be here at this point, but I'm really excited to be.
Yeah, computer exploded Blev arc over. New computer Blev arc is here and ready to go, ready to jump some of these games. I don't know, Blev. I'm looking at a lot of this, and it really just feels like Kaisa Yi domination. We had a lot of different decks coming in on the first day, but when you look at these kind of top players, right now, it's looking like a lot of Kaisa, a lot of Yi, but we do have a couple little surprises hanging out. We have an X1 Ari, X1 Volibear, and then of course, we're going to be watching Kuvira playing Darius, which, money where our mouth is at a certain point, right? With saying how good Hook Darius is. Kuvi was with me saying when we were watching the Chinese streams that, hey, I think Hook Darius would have been insane for this meta, probably would have brought it to the tournament. And Kuvi's saying, you know what, yeah, I'm going to bring Hook Darius to this event and kind of see how it goes. And so far, not too bad, right? 4-1, taking a single loss. Not the best overall tiebreakers that we see right now. Kuvira is currently sitting in 13th place. But all you need to do is be X1 and you make it to that top 8. So 2 more wins and Kuvi gets there. And on the other end, it's another Kaisa. And Kaisa, I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if we see most of our top 8 beat Kaisa when we looked at the initial spread of players, and it was something like 19 Kaisas, 11 Yis that entered the tournament. So Yi actually a lot for this event as we're going to get into this very first game, and it is going to be Candlelit Sanctum for Kuvira and Zon Warrens for Wasianswag.
Good old Zon Warrens, and we've got Poro v Poro action right off the bat. Kuvira starting off first, going to be able to get that first crack at either the Candlelit or the Zon, depending on if they need to filter cards out of their hand or just get some selection off of the top. Both seem quite good for Darius, wanting to, get that hook out as quickly as possible and get that rolling.
That's you.
So it's going to be Poro into Poro to start things off. The question for Kuvira's side is being on 4 runes. What are we going to get right away?
Yeah.
All right. Ray the Poro straight off, and then we just have a Manufactor. And it's just going to be a pass, so no follow-up with another 2-drop to go alongside that Darius. It looks like a bit of a slow start for Kuvi. I'm curious, though, if there still could be a hook in hand, because this turn would not have been a hook turn. If you do not have like another drop to kind of pair with it. So it could still be an early hook coming out of the Darius.
Definitely could. It could still be an early hook. It could still, I mean, when you obviously have the ability to just absolutely pop off with Darius, but you don't need to. You can set up, you can, get that advantage from the Darius legend over the course of the next few turns. You just can't really fall behind versus Kaisa, because if they start getting any sort of card advantage, they are going to 1-for-1 you right out of the game.
So jumping over to Wasianswag's turn, does end up just conquering the Candlelit Sanctum, is going to be able to basically do that opt to effect, right? Look at the top 2, be able to ship one to the top or bottom, or ship both to top or bottom, whatever order you want. And then we do just have a Kaisa being developed. Slow starts on both sides. Not a lot of runes available for Kaisa, and we did just see Array played on the previous turn. So this could be the opportunity for Kuvi to go for that double conquer and start really getting on the board in a meaningful way. But does have to be mindful of the Kaisa sitting on the back row and what that is going to be able to accomplish on the next turn.
Yeah, I think if this was a month ago and we were just starting to play Riftbound, we would have seen that Kaisa accelerated into the Zon Warrens to draw a card there. But I think we've sort of developed the play style of the point where, okay, we can't just be grabbing a card just because it's there, right? We need to think about when we're conquering, if we actually need to conquer this turn, etc. So very reserved play there by Wasianswag, but I think it's one that is certainly going to be pivotal in boards developing their board state here.
5. I'll do it on. I'll do it on this one.
All right.
Yep.
So Kuvi's just going to cast the cleave onto the recruit, ship it in, and now that is going to be the quick look for the Candlelit Sanctum. This is the big reason you play this on Darius is you do want to set up for hooks, right? You can leave stuff on top before hooking something, or the alternative is to kind of find your hook. Outside of that, obviously you can just kind of, look to find anything, and then Zon Warrens has this additional synergy of capping the Sanctum first. You then know what your draw could be, and it's going to be actually throwing away a Noxus Hopeful, which is interesting to me just because of how good that 4 might breakpoint can be in this matchup. And so the rest of this hand must be, a little bit more worthwhile to actually ship that Hopeful, and a baited hook is going to come down, which I think we kind of expected this at this point. And you are going to be able to just go ahead and look for that captain by getting rid of the manufacturer. We'll see if Kuvi is able to actually get this ball rolling with that baited hook.
Yeah, the hook was certainly made this line of play make sense. The cleave obviously turning on the Legion ability for Darius. We're now getting Vanguard Captain, not the absolute best one that you could get there, but it's very good.
I mean, actually, from manufacturer, I would say the captain is the best.
You're right.
Hit, right?
Yep.
So manufacturer.
It's been a while since I've seen Darius. It's not just Brewing Pod. It's might.
Yeah. It's the ladder that you want to play, right? So you want to be going from your manufacturer to your captain to your matron. So this is exactly getting the ball rolling, and as we see here, a great card in the matchup is going to be this Hidden Blade. Because of the fact that Kaisa is generally just going to be having a ton of cards and a ton of options into you anyway, as Darius, you really just want to look to clear the Kaisas, the Dariuses, and the Thousand-Tailed Watchers with these Hidden Blades, and just try and get rid of some of these bigger threats.
Oh, shoot.
Yep, it looks like some sort of glitch. It drew a card to Kuvira's hand. Just good old TTS problems, but I mean, this is pretty much the spot that you want to be in as Darius. Board position is there. I mean, this is, on the one hand, you get a lot of value as Kaisa from playing Falling Star, because you're going to be able to get a 2-for-1, because there's always going to be 2 things to kill. But at the same time, if you kill 2 units on the board of Darius, but they got 3 out of their captain, does that really count as a 2-for-1, or is it like a 1 for 2/3?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't, right? I mean, at a certain point, Darius is just being able to flood. I think the big scary part for Kuvira, and it always is on the Darius side of this matchup, is kind of the card advantage, right? You end up in this spot where, Kuvi's got 3 cards left to the side of Wasianswag, who, of course, with the draws from Hidden Blade, is up to 6 cards in hand, and so has kind of this wealth of options, whereas Kuvi doesn't really have a lot of choices that are going to be available outside of how they maneuver their units. And that is where the big skill expression of the Darius deck comes in, is when to send in certain units, what to send in, how much to keep on the back row, and when to hook. And this is a very good spot for Kuvi, being able to send the captain in and there not be a response from Wasianswag with these 2 open runes. This means that the hook will be able to come through onto the captain to start looking and digging for that matron, coming from 4 points already. That will put you in a really solid position going forward, as it's just another manufacturer. So getting more recruit spam, which I think is yet another one of those very important things for this matchup, is being able to spam out as many recruits as possible.
Wait,
Yeah, and we see the Hidden Blade discarded by Kuvira there.
This one?
A card that, has to be maybe another hidden blade in hand. I feel like I guess 2, 4, 6. We're not really far away from. We're not that far away from Mundo at this point, but I think the discard of the hidden blade means that Kuvira either has another one or has something to go over the top, because that seems like, as you mentioned before, quite a pivotal card in being able to recap and take those final points, the winning points, if you will.
Let's see the result of this hook, though, Blev. Not going to find the matron, and I think hopeful, not a terrible hit, of course, right? You're upgrading from 3 might to 4, but it is on the much lower end of the power that this deck can actually be creating off of the hook. I think, fortunately for Kuvira, the follow-up is just a captain from hand, so we're looking at this base, and it is just an immense amount of units. The total might is not as insane as this board is kind of looking at the current moment, but it's still plenty for dealing with the Kaisa, and it's spreading everything out across the entire board. And just as a note for anyone watching, main deck, this Kaisa does not have Icathian Rain in the main deck. There's a single copy in the sideboard. But for this game, there's no rain to respond to this giant mob of recruits. And with the point lead going in Kuvira's side, right, 4-1, the point tempo heavily in their favor, you get to kind of use just the smallest amount of might to score points, and you don't have to overcommit.
Absolutely. And there's, if my math is correct, which it probably isn't, there's 15 might on the side of Kuvira. And like you said, that point advantage is huge. We are, I guess, 2 turns away from threatening lethal on the side of Kuvira. So if you can take this turn to chip away at whatever Wasianswag puts out, cap 2 points, you're then threatening to win on the following turn. You develop, you have something to go over the top, like the Grand Stratagem. That's game. That's at least potentially game for Kuvira. But granted, like you said, that card advantage is certainly hurting Kuvira here, as there's only one singular card left in their hand.
Darius here.
Yeah, and this is an interesting line from Wasianswag's side. Actually just going to put the Darius deployed on defense. I think this is really soft to exactly the card you brought up, Grand Stratagem. However, that is only a one of in Kuvira's main board, so it's a little bit less likely that we'll see it. However, we've been on Candlelit Sanctum, so there's a possibility that it was, found and kind of drawn up by Kuvi on purpose via the Zon Warrens. It's a little bit hard to guarantee that you got it, though, because this hook has been active, so we'll see how Kuvi decides to navigate, but also just having Darius in the champion zone can lead to defense being very easy to crack through on the Darius side. So the big question is what is this 4 energy float that Wasian has? Like, what spells does Wasian have access to, right? Something like the smoke screen is potentially very strong in this kind of situation where Darius might be one of the main things that comes through. And we're going to see something deployed, though, right away. That looks like a Void Seeker. So that will tie this all up and just make everything trade.
Yeah, I think if you're Kuvira, that feels fine.
It's fine. It's not ideal.
The captain.
There we go.
We've got another resource. I was missing a resource there. I thought they only had 3 total.
The question now is, does Kuvi have something like a cleave, or is this just going to be a blowout?
Knowing Kuvira, they certainly played around this range of spells, because even like double Stupefy or Stupefy plus other spell, that this would get blown out to, or would get blown out by. And I have to think that Kuvira is playing around at least Stupefy plus spell.
All right, Stupefy resolves. Kuvi was holding priority there. I'm curious what reactions might have been available in the main board. I'm actually not sure that there are any, so I think it was just time to think. Yeah, there's no reactions in the main board.
Right. So maybe we see the 3rd hidden blade here. We could actually see the Grand Stratagem. Okay, it's just a cleave.
So I go to 5.
Yep.
I get a point. I'll look at the top 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Cleave is the perfect answer here, and it is exactly the card that we were thinking maybe Kuvi had to play around this range from Wasianswag, because I mean, I think Void Seeker plus Stupefy, especially when you know your opponent is on like 7 cards, is certainly a range that you are pretty comfortable with. The other side of it being something like the smoke screen plus a something like a ray, right? A smoke screen ray is one of the other options, and Cleave actually, with the push that Kuvi made, would be able to play around that range as well.
Okay.
Yeah, really good attack by Kuvira, considering the cards that they had and the resources they did. Was that 2 on the bottom for the candle? It looked like it may have been.
Play Darius.
All right.
Yeah.
He's ready.
That's going to be Darius coming in as a 7. So this is getting ready to capture the Zon Warrens on top of this. The Sanctum went first, so I'm curious if Kuvi wants to push in to try and take this first. And yep, it is just going to be a quick trade between the two. Cap the Warrens to draw the top card, I believe, and then we'll see a hook on the captain. Looks like doesn't want the top card, right? So okay, so you decide whether or not you want the top card or not,
The attack is done because
and then you go from there.
So I can only look for 3.
And great from Kuvi remembering the Stupefy.
Right.
So this will not be able to go grab Matron.
4, 5, and Cleave is 6, so I didn't tap it yet. So yeah, whatever. I kill. I'll tap 1 more. It's fine. And then I hook.
I mean, really, especially if the final card is Grand Stratagem, we really just want material on the board. Granted, we've got 1 resource, so it's unlikely that we're going to be... Well, there's nothing that we can play here.
Best thing here is 3rd captain, because this was a 2, because of the Stupefy.
Yeah.
I'll come here.
I lied. There's actually
or
one
just
better.
Draven. Or
yeah,
just
Draven's
Draven.
actually better. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm just wrong. Actually, best thing is Draven, not captain. Funny enough. Totally forgot about that guy. And that is the full 3 copies in this deck, alongside 3 Vayne, which I am a fan of Vayne in this deck because it does mean your recruits become a lot more threatening as hook targets. Especially when you start running really threat light towards the end of the game, or like running out of cards, but you've got kind of a recruit or 2 left over, being able to turn it into a Vayne, go conquer one side, hook it, get a Vayne on the back row, and conquer the other is a play line that you actually can see come up quite a bit with this Darius deck. But this is a great spot for Kuvi, being able to find this Draven that should be able to help push this last 2 points to get through this game.
Going to be a tough defense that will likely involve
I'll retreat
at minimum 1 smoke screen, I would think, if not multiple.
For 4.
Oh, I lied. There's no resources left for smoke screen.
Okay.
So worst case scenario is Stupefy, right? That's the most, or I guess Hextech Ray could technically.
Stupefy or Ray with just 1 energy. This looks like just kind of lethal on board.
9.
Coming
just
from Kuvira.
What could it possibly be, right? Yeah, you just full send.
Draven gets to go to 10. If this Sanctum finds a Vayne on top, you can hook one of the recruits first to grab that Vayne.
Right.
To add just an additional 4 might going. Actually 5 might, because you can hook the one that just conquered. So it just adds a full 5 might for this attack. I mean, this is, when we talk about how Darius has some of these like nearly unbeatable draws, it's these situations that when played around properly become really difficult for any deck to be able to deal with, right? The hook came online early enough. This battlefield spread, it looks like Darius got to pick 2 battlefields for this game 1. The combination of Candlelit Sanctum plus the Zon Warrens, I think, heavily favors the Darius. And look at that.
There it is.
3 copies of Vayne, the odds of finding it after a Sanctum have to be incredibly high. And Wasianswag's just going to scoop it up for game 1. It's a great game 1 out of Darius, right? This is, as I said, these battlefields are favored for Darius. The hook got found.
Delete tokens.
This is a pretty close matchup between these two decks, but when these things start to go right for the Darius, there is not really a deck in Riftbound that gets to stand up to it in that way. So really, really awesome game to watch for our first one, Blev. But I know you're happy seeing a Darius picking up some wins and trying to make it towards the end.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm really happy to see Kuvira playing it because it's at high level. I played a match on the Riftlab channel with the Darius deck, and I will just say I did not play it at a high level. You gain a lot of respect for the deck when you've played it because just little things like, oh, you need to play your card before you hook because you want your Legion effect to happen. Those are like the things that go without saying. Granted, I still mess them up, but the that attack from Kuvira that was, oh, I'm going to send the 3 might unit and the 4 might unit here. Okay, it plays around basically the full range of what Kai'Sa could have. That is the type of thing that is that skill expression that you mentioned before. It is what I think, if I had to guess, that is the barrier that is keeping the Darius deck as a whole from performing as well as it does, because it is such a hard deck to play. You need to not only know your lines, you need to know the range of your opponent really, really well. And I think we will slowly but surely start to see the Darius numbers creep up and up and up, because I do think when played expertly, it's in a really good spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is something that we talked a lot about on the co-stream for China as well, is that the Darius deck does have some of the most insane skill expression that we've seen in the game so far, which feels really weird because it's a deck where it's just like, you look at it at a surface level and it's like, okay, you draw a hook and you just spam stuff out and hook the thing and whatever, and it's good. You just generate so much might. But the problem with Darius is, I think if you make kind of really any mistakes with sending in the wrong amount of units at the wrong time or overcommitting to a certain battlefield, I do think that your deck gets punished a lot harder than a lot of other lists right now. And it just completely falls apart. Your game plan falls apart and you can't really come back because there's not a lot of card draw available in these colors. There's not a lot of ways for you to really rebuild your hand and kind of try again. You kind of get this one chance once you've built your board to try and win the game. And while you're doing just kind of an objectively unfair thing with the amount of might you're creating, there's not the leeway that, say, a Kai'Sa has or a Yi has, where there's so much built-in card draw that even if you get blown out once in a game, you actually have opportunities to kind of claw that back. Whereas with Darius, it really is just, you need to be making the correct decision turn after turn, and you won't, you'll get punished way too hard if you end up making those missteps. And you know, even earlier in this tournament, Kuvira took a loss. It's very possible Kuvi may have had some mistakes. It's really hard to play this deck at that top level, and I think it does hold it back from being that number one deck currently. I do think, you know, my opinion is we'll continue to see Darius rise and rise and rise in the stocks. That may be wrong, right? I've been wrong plenty of times already in this game. But I think the fact that he lines up well into Kai'Sa and into Yi especially, with his access to things like Imperial Decree, Stratagem, those ways to kind of get over the top of the really big stuff, it's a big boon for the deck in the current meta.
Yeah, and I think if you are excited for English release and thinking about decks that you want to build in paper, I think Darius is a good one to start out with, because you're going to get the amount of work that you put into is going to show, right? You're going to get, paid off. Like, I think there's a it won't take you long to figure out how to play Yi to roughly satisfactory level. So if the challenge of learning a deck is something that you like, Yi is maybe not the one for you. I think Darius is definitely one. And every set that comes out is the first thing that you can do is go, okay, what new hook targets do I have for my Darius deck? What do I have as an activator for Darius? What actually is broken? What Legion effects got printed? What is broken if I get it out of turn because I just have a free energy because I'm playing my Darius Legend? Like, those are all exciting things for me as a player. Right now, it is like, as someone who played the deck, it is daunting to get over that initial hurdle where it's like, oh, I am swimming in the deep end and I needed to be in the kiddie pool. But we all can learn to swim, and I find that that journey with a deck is really rewarding for me, because I get so bored just playing the same deck over and over again if it's the same linear strategy, unless all I'm trying to do is win. If I'm trying to win and I'm trying to attack a meta game and learn a deck, like the Darius deck really feels like a good fit for that, if those are the types of things you like.
Oh, it is really a great one. I think the other cool thing is, I mean, this deck is also, I think, so scary to me, because I think if we get more card draw printed for these colors, or in like a really efficient way, like on units or something, or we get another battlefield that gives Darius more opportunities to draw more cards. I think this deck with more refill, it just starts to get even more ridiculous, because I think the big weakness is that it can. I see players say it's inconsistent. I don't think that's necessarily true, but I think the way it can often lose is the fact that it doesn't have enough card draw. So you could draw some of these more clunky hands, find your hook targets instead of the things you want to hook, not find your hooks themselves, but you can often win without the hook if you still have the good, like, nice early game curve into some of the things that you really like. But if you kind of miss on all of that, you don't have this ability to draw extra cards to kind of get there. And so if that gets kind of smoothed over in future sets, this continues to be a really terrifying deck.
Yeah, I also like the people that are saying that it's inconsistent. Like, how many reps of the deck do you have? I legitimately want to know, because I think that it's one thing to say, oh, I don't want to put the time in to learn the deck. Like, I'm a good player. I can play Kai'Sa or Yi and win the tournament. I don't fault anyone for making that decision and doing that. But to say that the deck of the archetype is too inconsistent, I think that there's just not been enough time put into it. There's not been, like, we've not been.
Yeah, tell that to Ganstrax, right? Who like topped every single one of the clashes playing Darius.
Right, exactly. In all fairness, we've not had we've had very few tournaments in the grand scheme of things for Riftbound. So, and many of the tournaments have been for fun. So I don't fault anyone for not wanting to put a ton of hours in and test a deck for a for fun tournament. But I think that, in the future, once we're starting to see the regional tournaments happen, once we're starting to see some of these big 10Ks in paper happen, I think we're going to start to see the deck get really explored.
All right, we should be jumping in just a second here. They're getting their mulligans done. Our battlefields are going to be Trifarian War Camp and Reaver's Row. Looking at the mulls to see if we end up finding the hook for Darius out the gates. I think War Camp tends to be a kind of free win Darius when you get a decent hand to go with it, especially if you find hook, because it just buffs everything by one when you go in and conquer and then sack with the hook. But to start things out, Kuvira does not find the hook, but does have a turn 1 manufactor. The rest of the hand looking a little rough for Kuvira, though.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple hidden blades, matron getting drawn instead of pulled for hook. So we'll see if that smooths out with the next few draws, but also maybe you use one of these hidden blades on your recruit to try and refill this hand.
Like, we're talking about how Darius doesn't have card draw. What do you mean? I see 2 pot of greens in hand right now.
I think they're going to get deployed in that way because I do think that this is like the kind of hand where you're going to have to send in, look for the conquer with the recruit, and then just kill it off while you have the time to do so. I'm curious if Kuvira ends up making that same decision, because you're also going to want to hold one of these hidden blades for this Kai'Sa that's on the board currently.
Correct. I agree. I'm wondering, are we just playing there's no shot we're just playing a matron for stats, right? Maybe Darius for... Are we playing a 4-might Darius here?
No, I really like the idea of just hidden blading while your opponent has no resources here. And it's not like they can do anything at reaction speed anyway to actually remove your unit, but I do like just using your resources to get a refill, start looking for some powerful plays, and if you want, you can still hold up the second hidden blade for the Kai'Sa to try and slow that down. It feels really weird to just rip it this soon, but looking at this hand, there's not a lot of other plays, and I don't want to float this many resources on a turn.
We could play Darius and hide the Hidden Blades. Or sorry, Draven, not Darius. We could play Draven and hide the Hidden Blades. I mean, we could also play Darius, but I don't think we want to.
Okay.
All right, just ripping the Draven.
Yeah.
Just a 5-might Draven.
Oh, 5. Okay. 5-might Draven is significantly better than the 4 that I was thinking it might be. Okay, no hide on the Hidden Blades here, so
Attack here.
we're losing
Starting
we're
out
losing a
with
recruit
a
here.
Stupefy targeting your recruit.
Okay.
I'll draw. And then I'll score.
Right. Now that recruit is off the table, so not going to have an option to try and draw from it in the future. Really going to be playing off the top of the deck for a little bit, but having these Hidden Blades to kind of go for some removal options going forward is still going to be nice. This Draven is going to go down to the Falling Star. That is certainly going to feel pretty rough.
Go back.
And just going to retreat the Manufacturer so that there is some material remaining for Kuvi.
Yeah, I guess having the
For
unit
hopeful in the
to
back.
play or to use this turn is relevant. However, we could have seen the matron just get it back if they actually let it die. I don't know. It's probably not better. We can use the cleave to kill the Kaisa. That feels good.
Drawing another Draven, so still continuing to have a pretty slow start.
Wait, I can't.
With this being
I can't
tapped
search
out
this
on the
is
side
not
of Kaisa,
alright.
just a single resource available.
I will.
So the range becomes basically Ray, Stupefy,
That's
Retreat could still happen, but
Yep.
it is just going to be a cap there on it to the Trifarian War Camp. Going to get one more point, but yeah, just jamming another Draven doesn't feel good. It almost feels like, is it Darius time? It just feels a bit early.
Okay, there he is.
Kind of just the only option. So Darius
Yeah.
Cleave.
I'll come here.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's the option that is, I guess, it's the most proactive option. Which again, I think you really have to be. We're seeing Kuvira fall a bit behind here, and that is going to compound, right? Like we see a similar hand state that we did last game, except the scores are not 4-1 in favor of Kuvira. It's 2-3 in favor of Wasianswag. I will be interested to see how this one plays out because it is essentially the point tempo is reversed here, but the hand, like the way that the hands have played out, are very similar.
Right, mother.
Yeah, I think this is majorly advantage to Kaisa, as you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just the point tempo is reversed in some ways, right? Wasianswag on 3, so not actually on that crucial 4 to be able to push up to 6 on this turn, so it will buy a little bit of space. And
I was
now
also
finally,
wrong.
this Hidden Blade is going to be able to actually lead to some draw.
Yep,
You
I
should
was wrong.
score.
Kuvira
Yep.
just didn't score their points before, so
Uh,
they are still a bit. They're
No,
slightly
Wasian's
ahead.
ahead by 1 on the cycles here, right?
Yes, on the cycles, but I was seeing Kuvira at 2 points.
Oh, I
Which
see.
is just wrong. Yeah.
I
I
see.
will.
So not as bad as I was thinking it was, but still like it's at parity rather than being massively ahead.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
Kuvira.
Not good.
Yeah, because Wasian is like 1 cycle ahead. However, the cycle is it's at 5 instead of 4, so it actually doesn't really matter, right?
Yep.
And in fact, Kuvi's going to be first to 6 theoretically. However, we can see that hand, and we know that's not really going to happen.
And I'll pass.
No.
Still not fully coming together. You can activate the Legion effect, get really heavily on board, but the problem is not being able to get 6 to 6 here is going to sacrifice so much for Kuvira's side.
Yep.
It is going to allow Wasian to have complete control over the point tempo, getting up to 7 points and setting up for that winning point after this. And with the hand of having a Thousand-Tailed Watcher, having the Cleave, having even the Mundo,
I can't say
which
it out loud.
I don't think would be possible.
Yeah, it's really like we see a bunch of units and reactive spells for Kuvira, and it's just not. It just doesn't line up. We're not gonna, I don't think, have enough time to see the full benefit of all these units in hand, because we're really not going to. We're not going to be able to actually even play 2 units this turn. No, we can play 2 units, but it would be neither of them are Draven, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I can't play Draven with another one.
Oh, we can't play Draven at all because we don't have a power.
Oh yeah, of course, right. Yeah, no Fury runes.
Yep.
So Draven is stranded. I mean, generally you don't even want to cast Draven. That's the thing. You don't need to play very many Fury runes because you're not casting Draven or Vayne from hand very frequently.
Right. It's just Darius from champion slot.
Looks like considering Matron plus probably Captain as just the most amount of things that you can put on the board at once.
My hidden blade went into my runes, just so you know.
There's a hidden blade in the runes. It's very hidden.
That was, I don't even, did you see how that even that was crazy. The hidden blade just vacuumed over to the runes. Just TTS stuff, stuff.
Yeah, classic.
But it looks like it is just going to be exactly Matron Captain. That is, as we said, the most material that can kind of come out at a single time here.
Darius just spinning around.
And Darius is already active from just the Matron play.
At 5, no, I played 2 cards, right? So he's at 7 because this first.
Oh, right, because the
second
Matron counts as playing it. Yep. So
actually,
Darius is up.
Is that how it works?
That's correct.
Okay.
So yeah, that's 7, and then.
Okay. So
the question is do you just duo onto the Darius? Yeah, or try and hold on to some extra runes.
For 9.
The scary thing about playing the Captain is you're just deramping by 3 runes on this turn with hard casting the Matron into playing the Captain.
Right. And yes, you're getting 2 extra recruits, but is that really that necessary is, I guess, the question you'd have to ask. Clearly, Kuvira did not think so. I think this is another one of those, like, this is another skill expression. Like, you can't just think about, oh, what's the most efficient way to get the most stuff on board this turn? It's like, no, what is my next turn? What do the next 3 turns look like? How am I actually going to piece together this win? Because we've seen it so many times in early Riftbound. We see, oh, I'm going to play this. Oh, this is a super strong play. And then you look down the next turn, you've got 2 runes in play, and your opponent is a full board. Like, how did this happen to me?
I'll score.
Yeah.
Draw a card.
I mean, at this point, there has to be a way for Kuvira to try and hold a battlefield after conquering 2 on the next turn. And we do know that Wasianswag has a Thousand-Tailed Watcher in hand, so it does feel like Kais is going to be able to have this buttoned up pretty well. Question kind of becomes like, what can Kuvi and this Darius deck do on this next turn to try and set up to actually hold out a little bit longer? And then the spells in the deck are, Hidden Blade, Grand Stratagem. There's back-to-backs in the sideboard, which they should have come in. And in fact, I think we see one in the hand. So they do come in.
Yeah, the problem is
Mm.
that there's a lot of material on the side of Kai'Sa right now.
Yes.
And because of the Reavers, you're not even going to be able to get a favorable trade onto the Kai'Sa. She just jumps right back. So, like, Thousand-Tailed Watcher is just always going to... I just don't think... Unless Kuvira had so many units in play already and could just leave up all of the spells and have a ton of might on board,
Okay.
it just does not seem
No.
super likely.
Just saw it. The 6-4.
Just starting with the Darius swing in, wanting to see what will be cast on the other side. We know Voidseeker is actually the only option, really. There is a retreat.
Yeah, it's good.
Just going to let this happen.
Yeah, I don't think you want to retreat here because it turns off the Voidseeker. For Kuvi, I
Okay,
do
with
like
this,
just sending in the Spectral Matron, just like
you go
see if we get the retreat here.
I'll stay.
I
Alright.
don't play anything.
All right.
Voidseeker targeting it.
So this actually feels like it might be
Mm.
a window for Kuvi to actually get ahead here.
Back-to-back is interesting because you wanted to hold it. You wanted to hold the
Back-to-back
resources
invasion
up,
on
but
this, and it doesn't matter.
this
Darius.
works because it's
Yeah,
going to be able to
nothing else.
clear the Kai'Sa.
Trade.
The Matron will still die, but you do get to move in and conquer Reavers with a recruit and try and stack Trifarian with back-to-back and Hidden Blade up. And that,
Now,
I'm not sure if you hide the Hidden Blade.
yeah, hiding doesn't count as playing, right? No.
No.
So Darius is not going to.
No, Darius would get buffed on the next turn. When you reveal it, it counts as playing.
No,
Hiding it does not.
Darius isn't going to get buffed this turn to be able to move him back.
Oh,
what I was thinking.
you can't
Yeah.
move him back. You lose the game if you move him back. You have to hold.
They played one card.
Yeah.
It's
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean this is the best position that Kuvira could possibly be in at this point. It's
get these two
likely.
probably
I mean, we're
here.
gonna have
Oops, sorry.
how much might do we
I'm
have?
trying to buff them. Yeah.
10, 13.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
have 13 plus the back-to-backs will be an extra
Okay.
4, so that's 17.
I'll pay this here.
Oh, so no back to
we're
back.
not-
Instead, it's just going to be
Okay, that makes sense. It's
play
just
the
more,
captain.
It's just significantly
Oh, sorry, I
more.
used the Darius.
It's slightly softer into exactly box.
and
Thousand Tail Watcher.
This
And we
one.
know
Yeah.
that that Watcher is there. Kuvi does not.
Right.
So this play, instead of the back-to-back, is a little softer. And in fact, it's actually quite a bit softer because of the fact
I'll play the 1,000.
that you don't get the Darius buff on this turn as well.
Yeah. Everything's -3. Three, 6, 7, 8.
I will attack here.
Now we've got
Okay.
7, 11. I mean, we're not dead, right?
The Hidden
dead on board.
Blade gets
Blade
close.
takes
There
out
is a
7.
cleave. And we see a falling star. So I think Wasian's
I mean,
going to
it's
be able to
probably
pack this
over,
up.
but it's not over on board.
Yeah, it's not over on board. The plays are super close, right? The other line of keeping the back-to-back and the Hidden Blade is better into exactly Watcher. And then into, I think, anything else, the Captain is better.
Targeting,
So just
Darius
trying to
and
keep the range a little bit more broad, but Falling Star going to clear up 2 of these things, leaving only 4 might left at this war camp. Means that even with the Hidden Blade,
We're
not going to be able to keep this up.
We're
I'll hit the
donezo.
captain.
Just to see your top 2 cards.
attack with everything.
You got it. We can
Alright,
go to
Yep.
game.
So they're gonna go game
Mm,
3.
Game.
A very close game 2. I think slow start out of Darius this time, but still incredibly close. I think this also just comes down to a lot of the power being able to go on to the Kaisa side early, being able to get that point tempo and put Kuvira in a position at the end of the game where they're forced to overcommit into the Thousand-Tailed Watcher. And that's the big thing with this matchup as well, is just who can get that early point tempo, get that point lead. If you can make your opponent skip a turn of scoring, it gives you such a big advantage, considering that both of these players want to commit very small things in, being willing to sacrifice them and just look for as many conquers as they can, looking to essentially conquer 4 times to end the game, double conquer 4 times to end the game. And this time around, it does go Kaisa's way. And I'm curious, these last battlefields, I'm trying to remember what we usually see out of Darius. Actually, we have the list. So
we've got lists.
The final battlefields should be a Zon Warrens from Darius
and Targon's Peak.
Yeah, and
Kaisa.
Peak, I think this is an advantaged location for Kaisa to have the Peak. And I think that Warrens is not... It's kind of a neutral between the two. I think it's slightly better for the Darius than it is for the Kaisa to have Warrens. So it's like a small advantage there, but Kaisa still likes it, so it's not really... It's a little bit more neutral. Whereas Targon's Peak is entirely advantage Kaisa. It's basically a blank battlefield for Darius. There's a few cards that get
Hidden
to get
Blade
used.
allows you to keep up Hidden Blade, which is nice.
Yep.
But
Hidden
it's
Blade
certainly way better
back-to-back.
for Kaisa.
There's a few options, right?
Yeah.
Hidden Blade back to back. There's a few things, but I would still call it like just a very heavy advantage Kaisa for that battlefield between the two. And this is the one that when you're playing Kaisa into Darius, this is actually one of the battlefields that generally should lead to a Kaisa victory. I think, one day we'll try and get all this. We'll try and get like a robust stat system where we can track battlefield win rates and all this stuff. But what I would tell you is, I would expect in these matchups, Trifarian War Camp would be actually a pretty heavy-leaning Darius victory battlefield in this matchup. And I would say that Targon's Peak would be heavy victory to Kaisa. And we did see that Kaisa was able to win on War Camp, and I think that's a huge boon for Weijin here. It's a massive ability to be able to get that win on that Darius favored battlefield, and now you get your advantage going into game 3, even though you don't get to pick whether you go first or second.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that the Reavers last game was horrific for Darius. I think the way that the Darius wants to play out is get ahead early and then force your opponent to keep trying to attack the battlefields, and then one for one back and forth, or have an unfavorable attack, or clear a battlefield with a spell, conquer with a unit, and then Darius reconquers for free because their units are better. That just doesn't happen because of the Reaver's Row. The Kaisa that came out on the side of Kaisa was just around for the entire game, and there was nothing that the Darius could really do because of the Reaver's Row, just able to conquer, draw my card, and when you try to conquer back up, I'm going to retreat her. And it was really not good for Kuvira in the last game.
Right back into the action. It is going to be a seal to start things off. So that does allow for the turn 1 manufactor. On the other side, Kaisa is going to be going second. We'll see what they'll have to just kick things off right away. But no matter the hand for Kuvi, actually having the Zon Warrens this time is going to allow for some filtering.
Yeah, going to be able to... I mean, if there was a Zon Warrens last game, it would have been a big boon for Kuvira, able to filter through some of the cards that they didn't necessarily want. The Hidden Blades, not really getting max value or doing exactly what they wanted in the last game. But we see the Falling Star essentially doing a 1-for-1. But this is, people are going to point to this scenario here and say, this is why I don't play Darius.
This is the inconsistency that Darius has, right? You do have these draws. This is the danger. This is what you sacrifice for the power. And wow, Kuvi is just... Whoa!
Save the Darius.
Ripped off the top. Kaisa gets another Falling Star to just try and clear the Darius. And that might just be the straw that broke the camel's back here, because needing to just get a Zon Warrens trigger to start turning everything online
Or,
and not being able to keep
draw.
something on board is
I'm
just
not sure if I
potentially
actually
the end of the
do this, but
game.
I'll target
And we'll
these two
see
stand
what
at the end of the
happens.
turn, just in
Yeah,
case.
straw that brought the camel's back, but there was a steady pummeling with a baseball
Uh,
bat before that straw came around.
I'll do another Kaisa Survivor in the back, and I'll pass it to you.
Why not? Why not play another Kaisa that for some reason doesn't require a power to play her at base?
You got it. I'll scoop.
Yeah,
Kuvi's just gonna
that's-
scoop it up.
really-
Yeah,
man.
that's fair. That is
Very rough
that's a
hand
fair
pulled.
scoop.
Good game, man. Sorry about the brick.
Yep. Not ideal. Well, I tried to say, I tried to defend Darius, but boy, was that game an example of the inconsistencies that can happen in Darius. And like, I think if you're playing at a high level, if you're playing in a high stakes tournament, like that type of deck is still a fine choice, even though that type of hand can happen. Like that type of inconsistency is not. It's something to consider. It's not something to say, "Oh, I definitely will never play the deck for."
That's like a 1%er. Like mulling 2 cards with the amount of two like turn 1 drops, turn 2 drop. Like that's like a 1%er.
Yeah.
See, I love it. I think this is our fault, Blev. We talk about how it's a pretty consistent deck, and then you get the 1%er on there. I would have to actually calculate it, but as much as people like to give shit to Darius decks for finding hook multiple times in a row, and how low percentage that is, this is equally low percentage to happen for this deck. Oh, sorry, Kuvi. That's a brutal one. A brutal way to lose at the end of the day here. And I think considering where Kuvi's tie breaks were at, that may actually be Kuvi's tournament. We'll see. There is some amount of X2s that will be able to squeak in. But going into that round, they were at X and 1, and that just might be the end for Kuvi. We'll see how that last round shakes out. But from there, that is a big congrats to Wasianswag, being just 1 game away from locking in the top 8, and very potentially that one does it, right? Because there is some amount of X2s. Just a few X2s will get in, and Wasianswag coming in at X1 with pretty good tiebreakers overall. Very good position to make it to the top 8. Yet another Kaisa maybe making their way there.
If there's one thing that I don't do, it is predict breaker math without knowing that it's 100% lock. So I'm going to say I try to win that last round just in case.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Blev, I think we've got more games coming up soon for the next round of Swiss, but we are going to go to a break. When we come back, we will have round 7, the final round of Swiss before we cut to top 8. So don't go anywhere. We've got more Riftbound action coming your way. Welcome back to day 2 of the second ever Riftlab Trials. This is going to be round 7 of Swiss that we're going into, the very final round of Swiss. So this is locking in the last few players for that top 8. And there were a lot of IDs this round. We've been looking for a match, trying to find one that is not going to be an ID and still should be, in theory, relevant for top 8. And what we were able to find is Freakz on Eggplant Yi going up against Gameslayer, who is our Volibear, who it does look like he's live for top 8. He got a draw in the last round. He is 4-1-1. A win here is going to put him right on that bubble, on that cusp. So
this is going to discipline like a lot of X2s that thought they might make it.
Yeah, I think a win here for Gameslayer is like 7th, 8th, or 9th. Freakz, if he wins, is guaranteed in from his spot at 5-1, currently 6th seed. So this should be pretty relevant. It would be sad if we got this one, Gameslayer wins and doesn't make it. But I
Right.
just want to warn before we go in, it's based on tie breaks and everything. It looks like it's not a guaranteed winning in for Gameslayer, but it is a guaranteed losing out, probably
Yes.
for either of them. So we have to see. I think Gameslayer has a good shot of making it if they win here. So this we'll treat it as a winning in, but there is just a world that Gameslayer can't quite make it even with the win.
Yeah, it's a winning in, and if it's not, then well, you can blame stats and standings.
There's
not us.
just so many IDs this round. It's really hard to judge exactly where everything is gonna land at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's one thing, like when you've played enough tournaments, like Magic tournaments or high level tournaments, you start to get like ID math brained, and I've seen people who have claimed to me that it's 100% lock that they're in, and boy, are they mad when they get like 11th place instead of 8th. So, in any case, we are seeing a discipline actually just used to cycle the card. I don't know if I've ever seen that play made.
Really? See it all the time, I think.
Okay, well, I'm not watching enough Yi. I want to watch more Riftbound. My computer's been exploded.
I think it's not like the most common line to take, but generally if your hand is flooded with buffs and you need more units and need more other additional options, especially if it's a redundant copy of Discipline, like second Discipline, sometimes you just want to cycle it.
And play out the
Especially you know that this is an Aurora matchup already. You know this is going to be very late game heavy. So.
Yep. They
yes,
should be
sorry.
down one, right? Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's only Kaisa
Just
that is
didn't spot
broken
that
for some reason.
So thank you. He's so fast. Ramp and draw.
FYC ramp.
Yeah. Both players getting a little early ramp. Volibear just by playing a 5-cost, which effectively just didn't deramp on this turn.
Yeah.
However, you're gonna find your center. The strangest thing about this deck from Gameslayer, however, is that it is Dazzling Aurora, but it's only playing 3 Mobilize, 1 Catalyst. It's not actually playing that many ramp options, and instead is just relying on these 5 might, just the mighty units to get in, and the Dazzling is kind of the secondary game plan. It's still, you want to play out Dazzling Aurora, but it's not, hey, hyper ramp into Dazzling and just have big units. It's playing 9 copies of just 5 might, essentially 4 and 5 drops, with Brazen Buccaneer coming in as the 4 drop with the discard.
I mean, the early lists of Volibear, I'm talking pre-full set reveal when I was playing a decent amount on Pixelborn. That was one of the best cards in the deck. Like, I can actually ramp. I'm getting out on the board. Like, this is exactly what I want. I was a little maybe not surprised. I was it made sense with how the builds worked, but I did think that we were going to see the Buccaneers stick around. And this makes sense. I mean, this is an innovation in the Aurora decks. It's like, yes, it is still Aurora. It is still playing those high drops, but it's not all in hyper Aurora. It's like mid-range plus Aurora. I like it.
Yeah, and we're seeing some of this kind of early power of it, right? Instead of having to wait to just play an Aurora, this kind of early to mid game, there's a Misfortune, there's a Lee Sin that have both hit the board. They've not deramped. They've continued to just allow Volibear to stack up the runes towards Aurora, even though you're getting some power that you might actually have to deramp for, and actually scoring a couple of early points and keeping Yi from just getting a bunch of those early points themselves, and instead Gameslayer will be able to get to Aurora without Yi being on 6-7 points. The only problem that when you play that Aurora is now you do have some quote-unquote bricks that can come out of the deck, right? When you play an Aurora and you pull a Brazen Buccaneer, you're not super happy about that situation. However, you kind of get to re-ramp yourself every time the Aurora triggers, which gets you to a point where you can kind of play a lot of these big threats very easily.
Yeah, you're also able to double spell in a way that you're not really always able to in these Aurora decks, or at least the Volibear Aurora decks, where you're able to Now you can play 2 5-drops. And when the deck doesn't really run 5-drops, you can't obviously do that, which is nice. Like being able to, like you said, stay
I will offer a trade
reasonable
here.
with
You will offer the trade.
points and like actually maybe stay even ahead
I
on
will
points
accept the trade.
is a way that Aurora decks have not really been able to play. They're always coming from behind, and then they have such huge swings that they're
Yep.
able to stabilize and come back. But now we're like,
Yeah.
we've stayed stabilized, and we're going to continue that and just push that advantage.
All right, so
right.
Freakz is just going to trade, get rid of the Misfortune, and then just come in with Yi Discipline, score onto Hillock, get a complete board wipe. But I want to mention the hand. I know we don't have it up on the stream for you guys. We've got a little sneak peek on some of the hands as well. Freakz' triple draw deny, or defy, which
I will
is
just play it now.
not very good in this matchup. There are a couple targets in the main board that can be
End
hit.
turn, resolve dazzle.
Mobilize, Void Seeker, Catalyst, and Get Excited are all main boarded. So there are a
You
couple
also
things that can
completely
get hit,
cut
but
out.
really the main power of this deck is not
I
going to
want
be
the trade.
diffused by those defies. So they feel pretty dead early
And I'll
on,
get my extra from the Volibear there.
as that is just going to be
Alright, that was
an
rookie.
Aurora
Rookie
Slam,
points.
Dead Bloom, gonna trade with the
Done.
Master
2
Yi.
points that turn.
Yeah, seems pretty decent,
Nice.
obviously, for
Yeah, like an accelerate. All right, that
the
works.
Volibear there. We've got Eggplant Man coming in, accelerated. Get onto Hillock, get a point. No. We're going to see another Dead Bloom.
Yeah, could just trade again. Just slam Dead Bloom into it. You
Could
have
you-
the momentum with this Aurora, so keeping the board just empty is not terrible.
I mean, having Dead Bloom, when you initiate the combat with Dead Bloom, you could double.
Are you
Sky
thinking
Splitter
double Sky
technically.
Splitter?
You could. I mean,
You
it's a
could,
legal
yeah.
play.
Doop, doop, doop.
Yeah.
Get my
Okay.
one back.
I think I don't mind Gameslayer slowing this down just a
And
little
Aurora.
bit, because
Yeah.
I think going to 4 points is
Quadrigan.
not
All right.
that terrifying.
Cards.
And so just getting an Aurora proc, getting a Volibear down, draws
Yeah.
2 off of that with the Cadrigan coming out of the Aurora. And you're just getting really ahead on Might, where you still have these free Sky Splitters that can get jammed down, and you still have this like double accelerate of the Scorchers in hand. Now you've picked up a Misfortune that can kind of do that as well. Still having the Dead Bloom. There's a lot of optionality for the Volibear
Mhm.
deck, and I don't mind the develop. I think after this turn, if Freakz is able to get towards 5 points, I guess not even able to hit 6 here. So you actually still have an additional turn that you could take to just develop on
Yeah.
the side of Volibear.
This is looking
Yep.
really very good for the Volibear here. I mean, having the Volibear in play, as we can see, Yi's not doing squat against that. It's going to be able to. It's going to start eating units for free. If they can put something together to try to threaten the Volibear, all of a sudden these free Sky Splitters are going to come down. We can just hard cast a Cadrigan to draw 150 more cards.
Okay.
Like this is feeling great on the
Yeah.
side of Volibear here.
Hang
Hillock
on,
gonna make it
hang
easy
on,
for
hang
Freakz
on.
to just be able to go up to 5, but the problem is not being at 6, right? That's
Yeah.
the big struggle, and Gameslayer might not even let this 5 happen. You can just still go for these double Sky Splitters if you want, and just deny the ability to conquer. But going from 4 to 5, maybe not that important to use those Sky Splitters yet. There is an argument to kind of hold on to them and see if there's a better opportunity to deploy them, since they're probably just going to be free for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think they're going to be free, at least if you want them to be free, they're going to be free like right now. There's
right.
not really anything that
I
you can do
will
to
Sky
stop that.
Splitter,
Sure.
All right,
And then
looks
I
like
will Sky
Gameslayer
Splitter
is just
again.
going to deploy the Sky Splitter.
Yeah.
Get rid of Eggplant Man.
Yep. Are they going to try to defy, because that
Okay.
sure doesn't work.
No.
In response to it dying, I float an orange and a green.
Okay.
Then ramp
Well,
Oh,
need
that's
green
cute.
power.
I don't think
Okay,
it
yeah.
matters at all, but that is just optimal. So Freakz, okay, just to explain what he did in response to the Death Knell trigger, because you can, recycle runes or tap them as a reaction. He floats 2 power because you're going to get 2 runes back.
Wait, you can recycle runes? You can just recycle them for no reason?
Yeah, absolutely.
I sure didn't know that, but that's a
Yeah, because that's how you're supposed to
today I learned.
pay for things
Alright.
as well, right?
Yeah,
'Cause you're
I don't
supposed
know
to
why
pay
in my
first and then cast.
mind it didn't work like that. No, I couldn't tell you why. It makes complete sense that you're
All
able to
the
do
valuable
that. I
cards.
just, in
The
my
free
mind, I'm
cards.
like, oh, you can't do that for no reason.
All right.
Sure can.
Gameslayer actually pretty willing to put things maybe a little bit more towards the knife's edge. Just going to go for a Cadrigan, developing the hand even further. And not going and stacking a location yet in doing so. Could have gone for double Cadrigan on Hillock, right? Moved it in and then played the Cadrigan there. Just go for 18 might on the board. But instead, just holding back, potentially allowing Freakz a couple more points before getting total dominance with this board.
Yeah, I mean, am I misremembering what the Volibear does? It deals its might in damage to units when it attacks, right? Or
No,
I
you're
think
thinking of the signature
Yeah,
spell.
so
So
Volibear-
Volibear, when it swings in, it is 5 damage split however you want.
it just does 5.
there
Okay,
was
you're
also
right.
the
No,
Cadrigan in
I'm
here.
thinking of Yasuo actually.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Yasuo, when it swings in, does its might to somebody. And then
Yep.
the volley spell does its might to everything and moves it in, basically.
Okay. The double sky splitter makes a lot more sense then. Because I'm like, doesn't the Volibear just eat the eggplant for free? But it just doesn't, so
Yeah, I'm
ignore
sending
me.
them both. Yeah. Dazzling Aurora.
No, I mean this makes sense. I mean, it is
At least I'll
certainly
keep that
less
back.
good. Or it would be obviously a lot better if there was another sky splitter or just some sort of interaction here. There's really kind of not. We didn't see the Lee Sin not stack here. And it makes, I don't know. Do you like stacking? I feel like if you start to stack, you might as well keep going rather than just put some might on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because Master Yi doesn't particularly have great ways to beat like a giga stack, right? Like there is, of course, like White Flame Protector, which is going to be able to get you over the top of a lot of stacking, and it can be really scary to want to play around it. But there is like a certain amount of might where, yeah, White Flame actually doesn't really get the job done. But it is 12 runes, so White Flame Protector plus Primal Fury, that would be the like kind of peak that you're playing around, which is is like a plus 15. What's crazy is stacking further actually would beat plus 15 if I'm counting this correctly. So
yeah, 18 plus 6 is 24. They had 5 plus 15 is only 20. So yeah, no, it would have.
Okay.
So Freakz is going to just continue to build up the board, play out an eggplant, but these Defies rotting in the hand are certainly not what Freakz wanted to see. Very likely to see those just sideboarded out going into game 2. And I think Freakz just maybe recognizing the writing on the wall for this game 1 and knows that, hey, the sideboard actually does have some things to help out. Sabotage to not let Aurora get onto the board. Primal Strength to kind of help out with reaching these might levels that are needed. And so I think Freakz maybe just kind of thinking about that next game.
So that puts me to 5, sorry, because I needed the whole point. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, get as much information about how your opponent will play, how they're playing, how their deck is built. I'm not 100% sure if this is open deck list at this point.
Move the Lee Sin in here.
I think the sheet became public, so it should be.
Okay, so they technically could have the decks.
Play this.
Or the deck list, I would imagine at this point. A very pivotal moment in the tournament. They probably do have it, but we'll see.
Not that. Scorcher.
Okay, so Aurora Trigger just grabs the Scorcher. This is the weakness of all the 5s being in the deck is your Aurora Trigger sometimes isn't the greatest, but end of the day, you're getting there without ceding as many points, so you can kind of afford that situation later on in the game with this version. And of course, considering the position that Gameslayer is already in, no big deal to just add another 5 might to the board. It's just bonus at this point, right?
Yeah. I'm wondering if Gameslayer is putting Freakz on Defy here, because they obviously haven't seen it at all this game. We know that there's just the full suite of them in hand. I'm wondering how much Gameslayer is relying on this Void Seeker to protect the board that they've built so far.
Buff the
All right.
Freakz.
Here comes the white flame.
Yep.
So finally going to be able to try and push through. This is going to be 14 into
So
14,
that's what?
going for the trade.
It's not killing. Is it killing both? It's killing both. Okay. Well, maybe I did mistake the noise. All right, we trade.
That might allow Freakz to go to 6 by moving in the pit rookie. The question is does that ever give an opportunity to actually win the game? And I'm not convinced on that fact.
I'll get my point.
Especially because all of this stuff for Gameslayer is on a hillock. So it can always just gank down.
Yep. Just crunch right over. You know,
But that is a slight mistake on the stacking, right? Not being able to play around directly, just a white flame getting there on its own. Didn't need additional buffs.
Yeah, I think, and we heard the players say, "Oh, that does kill both." I miscount or something like that. Yeah, you definitely. I think you might as well throw the misfortune over there if they also had the Primal Fury. Like, I guess it's slightly worse against that, but
I'll play a Dead Bloom Presto here.
you know, make them play
Spend
the
8.
extra card. I
get 2
think
back.
at this point.
Sorry, spend 8. Put 2 back. Get 1 back. I'll move Misfortune into here.
Okay.
On move trigger, I'll ready a rune.
Yep.
And that resolve, yeah?
Yep.
Go to 7, recycle that. And I will resolve Aurora.
Sure.
All right. There's
Looking at
Gameslayer on 7 points. Just going to continue to stack this.
Go ahead.
Yep.
I'm not seeing any way. I mean, White Flame is the best possible draw. Freakz does rip it off the top, but even then, you would need a lot more buffs to make something happen.
Yeah, because you need to conquer both. And you need a lot. You just don't have the units, right? You just don't have the units to do it, even if you had all the buffs.
Yep.
Not.
Freak's going to scoop it up, go to the next one. The White Flame was really close. In fact, it might have been able to get a single conquer. There was a combination of like White Flame, Charm, and On Guard in hand to try and move things around, push through, conquer one side, but being able to conquer both was not going to be possible. Freakz is going to move into these sideboarded matches and hope that, hey, maybe cutting some amount of these defies, if not all of them, especially because they were feeling so bad routing in hand the entire game that time. But certainly they feel like some of the better cards to make room for the sabotages, the primal strengths, those kind of things. And sabotage can effectively kind of play a similar game to the defy, but it gets rid of the more threatening cards, right? The Sky Splitter can be sabotaged away early on in the game, but also obviously Aurora is the big one, which makes it a bit better than Defy hitting the few other cards that can be in that main board. So we'll see if Freakz does opt for that as being the cut. Outside of that, I'm trying to think what other cuts you can do to bring in the primal strengths. Maybe some of the smaller buffs are a little bit less relevant, like the On Guards, to actually kind of progressing your game plan.
Yeah, I think it is possible, and actually we do see Get Excited, which actually would be quite a spicy target for Defy. So I'm actually curious if Gameslayer is going to say, oh, they probably have Defy in the deck. I'm going to get these Get Exciteds out because that is. I guess actually the discard is not part of the cost. So if it doesn't,
it's just kind of a normal 1-for-1.
It's just a 1-for-1, but even still, it's still not amazing.
Yeah. I usually don't like cutting the On Guards, especially because Dreaming Tree's still on the table. I'm trying to think what actually can be trimmed a bit. Maybe some of the early drops can be trimmed for the Primal Strengths, for the Dead Bloom. Because like as much as you want the early drops for Yi, they do kind of just get run over relatively quickly in the game, and then they become pretty useless draws, pretty dead. So finding more buffs, more ways to make your big units bigger and actually trade favorably and do well into the Volibear units might actually be the case. It's hard. I have not played Yi into Volibear, maybe ever. I think personally, I don't play a lot of Master Yi myself, and it's not a matchup that we've gotten to see just a ton of, because there's just not a lot of Volibear players out there, and maybe that's where Gameslayer is getting a lot of this edge too. Is a lot of players just don't have the experience into Volibear. They don't know exactly how their deck's supposed to kind of function, even though it seems relatively simplistic on, okay, I just need to deal with some bigger units. It can just be very difficult when the decks aren't tuned to do that. Even if they're tuned to do it against Master Yi, it is a little different when it is just the sheer volume of big threats that Volibear is spewing onto the board.
And even like if you're factoring in the quote unquote base version of Aurora, like this is very different. This is not like Misfortune Aurora. It's not like a Yi Aurora. It is sort of playing that more mid-range game where you actually have a functional deck without Aurora. Now, it's maybe not the most powerful, but like it effectively has the same unit like 5 or 6 times, right? It's like Misfortune, kind of just an accelerate unit that is a 5 might. You've got the Dragon, which is a 5 might accelerate. You've got the Lee Sin, which is 6 might
6 might accelerate.
Like,
yeah,
like it's just the same unit over and over again, which is fine because that unit's pretty good. But if you're not used to playing against that unit over and over and over again, like that's might not work.
Yeah, I mean it's
a different strategy for sure.
We've always memed about set 1 being just numbers decks being good, and Kai'Sa kind of broke that mold, even though her math is good, but in a very different way. It's not just putting big number on board. But like Yi is put big number on board and back it up with combat tricks. And for Volley, this is just put big number on board, but put bigger numbers on board, but and more numbers.
And it also has accelerate. This is like what's the old the TikTok where it's like, and that goes in the square hole, and this goes in the square hole. It's like, and this is a 5 might accelerate unit, and how about another 5 might accelerate unit, and a mighty accelerate unit. Okay, that's just the whole deck. All the way down.
It really is just everything in this deck is kind of just this, as you said, the 5 might accelerate, and I think that keyword is actually very important in this deck actually having any success. Because one of the issues that I think a lot of people identified with Volibear early on was by the time you actually get on board and you get your scary stuff there, the game's over. But
it's like you look at all these cards as you pack them up and go to the next round.
Yeah, this speeds up the clock quite a bit, right? So even though this deck is skipping turn 1 in like 90% of games, unless it finds the Mobilize, which is really, really good every time it finds the Mobilize in the opening hand, it is by its second turn generally doing something a little bit more efficient. And the big problem that we saw out of this deck yesterday, it was on the main broadcast, was into Kai'Sas that were able to get the tempo just incredibly quickly right out the gates. Gameslayer struggled quite a bit. It was a really, really tough time when the Kai'Sa on their turn 2 was scoring 2 points and then going to 4 and then going to 6 from there.
Yeah, and that's going to be many of the Aurora decks in general, right? Like you're really winning the game is not the hard part. It's the not losing that you need to figure out, and like how do you get back into the game from being behind? And 5 might accelerate units is a perfectly fine answer, at least for what this Volibear deck is put together.
All right, we'll see what Gameslayer was able to draw out the gates. It is just going to be a
5
dragon.
might accelerate unit.
On 5, it's what's really nice is it's just it's a body plus a mobilize on this turn, right? Because of the Volibear ability. So going second, your turn 2 doesn't just need to be Catalyst. Sometimes you have these additional options. Now, Catalyst, of course, would be slightly better because you'd be on a turn 3 Aurora clock. However, instead of that turn 3 Aurora clock, you actually just get to have a body developed that can try and prevent your opponent from just scoring for free while you get to your Aurora. And that's the big difference of this Volley versus the other Aurora decks, is just the ability to have these bodies on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have the ability to, we could risk it and attack the pit rookie. There's just no shot you ever do that, I don't think, unless you have, I guess, a Sky Splitter to follow up to bait another card out. But you can go to Candlelit Sanctum, look for that Aurora if you don't already have it. Look to set up the next couple of turns. I think honestly, like if I were trying to pick a version of Aurora to play, and I'm off of Yi and I don't own the cards for Misfortune, then I'm looking to play Volibear strictly because of Sky Splitter, like having access to a
We are going to
free
accelerate
removal
out
spell,
Lee Sin.
effectively free,
Okay.
at least in terms of energy cost, is I think
And
one
we
of
are
the
going to
stronger
bring both
reasons
of
to
them.
actually want to play Volibear.
All right. Well, here's a way to kind of play around any buff spell that was going to come through. Just
God.
send 11 in instead, and then now the on guard's going to come through to make
Cool.
the
I will
pit
pass
rookie
guard.
be able to trade with the Master Yi,
Sure.
or not the Master
Yep.
Yi, the
I
Lee
will
Sin.
pass
Listen, I don't know why I
Um,
also think that
and I
card
will
is
pass the
Master
turn.
Yi in my mind.
It's actually this very similar card to Orange Yi, but
Yeah.
they look so different. I don't know why. Like, I've played League of Legends for 13 years. I don't know why I get this Master Yi. It clearly leaves in. But that is just going to be the ability to clear one of the first things. But that sabotage is
You got it.
massive. Next turn was going to be an Aurora. We're going to send that to the bottom of the deck instead. And Gameslayer is going to have to try and find those future Auroras
Yeah.
to try and rebuild this board.
I mean, you still get to play Volibear though. Like that's still
Yeah.
or
You can just
Cadrigan or Volibear into Cadrigan. Like it's just like, okay, yeah, no, I'll just not play Aurora. That's fine. I mean, it would be great to play Aurora here. You can also just play your big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the other benefit, right? Is it's a little less
Yep, yep.
backbreaking when you do lose out on your Aurora with the fact that you just have other abilities to play the
Yeah.
big units. It's not like you get to the point where you have so few of the big units and a lot of stuff that's just trying to stall to get you to your Aurora or trying to play around your Aurora in the late game. And we've seen, Master Yi and Misfortune win in a similar fashion, right? We've seen Misfortune win by just playing out Mind Splitters and just disrupting the hand and eventually kind of getting there. Seen Master Yi play around the Dead Blooms once ramping up and being able to just buff them up once they come down and defend them in that way. So it's not that these other Aurora decks can't do this. It's just that Volibear just has a lot more
Yeah, I'm just going to,
directly playing
develop
around
that.
playing the big units and is able to continue to keep themselves ramped up there
Go ahead.
with the Volibear ability. Not necessarily doing it a ton better than the other decks, but maybe arguably a little bit better than the other Aurora decks at playing without the Aurora. And you need to be there because you're less likely to draw it with those other two decks being so built around drawing into that spell.
Yep. Pick a card or yeah. Is it pick a card or three of a kind? I don't remember the name of the card. Or is it a completely different card name?
Stack deck. is what you're
Stack
looking
deck. Yeah,
for.
no, it's a completely different card. I've got all these similar spells of similar costs from different games in my mind at all times. In any case, stack deck is a really great
Okay.
reason to be playing Misfortune, but I like playing the Aurora deck that is not going to lose just because my opponent killed every single one of my units. Like we've seen so many times on camera where the Misfortune just Aurora resolves and they just flip their whole deck over and shuffle. Like that's not going to happen with this Volibear deck very often, I don't think.
Yeah, there's way too many units in the deck. However, I will say this game is getting pretty out of hand. I think that Aurora was going to be pretty necessary considering how far behind Gameslayer was. And Freakz has certainly found his stride in the second game, Sabotage being a much better draw than the Defies were. And then also just being able to get these units on board. We know that he's still got some good card advantage and in just a very strong situation as Gameslayer is getting passed over to with 11 runes available. Has the Volibear back at base, but Freakz has been able to play around this on-attack trigger very nicely. So Volibear not able to really get any value from that. But even then, there's only one target with the Clockwork that will actually get killed off by it. The other two have too high of might values to be able to just go down directly to the Volibear ability.
I mentioned Sky Splitter being just a solid card, but it
Volleybat's gonna move
does
into
not
the
look
Candlelit.
super great against 6 might.
Sure.
And it looks
Cool. Gonna look at the top two.
the good thing is that you don't need to be attacking to use Sky Splitter, so you
Don't want those
can
two.
cast it before the Yi
Goes my
buff
point.
happens, but it doesn't matter if the unit is already too big.
Yep.
to
And
use
then
Sky
I will
Splitter.
play a Cadrigan.
All right, ripping the Cadrigan from hand after conquering the Candlelit, just trying to dig for Aurora. That's kind of the way back in, is be able to stall a little bit more space from Freakz, not let these Conquers come in too quickly, not let the points get out of hand too fast,
Mhm.
Go
and then get that Aurora established to try and recoup some of this value. And 18 might at Candlelit Sanctum is going to be a good way to do so, but we're already seeing 12, 14 on board for
Mhm.
Freakz. If there's a White Flame Protector, you might be able to just run this over. And if both these units go down for Gameslayer, I think we're just immediately saying a game 3.
I agree. Certainly a tough spot if you are Gameslayer here. Possibly has, like, if you can double Sky Splitter the unit that gets White Flamed, maybe, but that's not super likely. And it's possible. We just drew an extra couple of cards with the Cadrigan, so it is certainly possible that they have a pair of Sky Splitters in hand, but it is not. Outside of that, it is looking very bad for Gameslayer.
And it's also possible that Freakz missed the White Flame. I mean, really, Gameslayer, that's the biggest hope, right? You need to hope that Freakz does not have the White Flame here to be able to push through. I mean, there are other buffs that can get there, right? Primal Fury is just one less.
Yep.
That's also going to make it over the top. There's quite a few outs for Freakz, but we're just going to see the Zonyas to kick things off. And now that is 8 and 2 green. That's
Yeah.
exactly the big dragon coming down.
It's a chunky.
Just going to send
Yeah,
20
alright,
into
we will go
18.
Yeah, why
The
not?
Yi.
Gameslayer having no effects, no, get excited to try and take out Mr. Eggplant Man.
Nope.
It could have potentially gotten there, actually. Would have been a great rip. I'd be able to discard one of the big units and actually clear that away, but just not going to happen. That's going to be Freakz going up to, I believe, 7, all
Resolve.
things said and done here.
Yeah, and I mean, 5 might accelerate unit is great, but not into effective 8 might unit holding on.
You will mobilize.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's just going to be game 2. I mean, mobilize, draw a card, Gameslayer digging to see what he can find, but we look at Master Yi and the White Flame Protector in the back. Even if you're able to get something on board,
I had a
deny
very
Freakz
small
the victory
chance
off the
if,
hold.
I
There's
had drawn that card
nothing
in the
left.
opposite order. If I hadn't just drawn the mobilize there. All right. Final round.
All right, and that's going to be the scoop from Gameslayer. They're going to go to a game 3. Big decider. Both of their tournament lives on the line, trying to make that top 8. Freakz guaranteed top 8 with a victory here. Gameslayer should be putting himself in a position probably to be on one of those bottom last few spots. 7th, 8th, or 9th is my prediction for Gameslayer off a win. Maybe even as high as 6th. It's really hard to say. There were a lot of IDs towards this final round that is going to really shake up the standings, because it was supposed to be some amount of X2s make it in, but with enough draws in the tournament, that changes the math on that quite a bit. And instead, the draws probably take those slots. So all XOs, all X1s, some amount of X11s, maybe an X2 get in, but yeah, that's the question here. It should be a win and in for both these players, though.
The other thing is, and again, I'm not going to predict any breaker math, but just having seen this play out before, not everyone who IDs is guaranteed to make it 100% of the time. Like, people mess up the breaker math all the time. So it is possible. And like, if there was an improper, and by improper, I mean, if they ID and one or both of them don't make it in, like, that just throws off the math for everything. So all bets are off, I think. If in a situation like this, it is just win and hope that you make it.
Yeah, it is just like classic Swiss points, 1 for win, half for draw. So that's at least the first one. So we'll see if the players have mathed it out correctly.
Well,
should be a bit easier in that case, with
Magic-
draws just being
So 1 point for win, half a point for a draw. So actually, draws are even better than they would be in Magic because it's usually 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw.
Yeah.
So technically, draws are worth half of a win rather than a third of a win. So yeah, drawing feels much better. Well, I mean, it's whatever percent better.
And I'm
general.
looking at the battlefields here to see what we have left. And honestly, the Volibear battlefields are really interesting. Sigil of the Storm, Candlelit Sanctum were the first two that we saw. And the last one is Windswept Hillock. So really relying on that ganking to be able to get your big units to one side and then move them. And we saw how well it was used against Yi when it was Yi's own Hillock that was being used.
Yeah.
And the last one for Yi is going to be the Dreaming Tree, which is a completely like one-sided battlefield in this matchup. And I think that is going to be kind of edged towards Master Yi, continuing to dig through the deck, find all the answers necessary, try and even dig for that sabotage to try to deal with the Aurora once again. And I'm curious if these post sideboard matches are just too much for the Volibear deck into the Yi, if the sabotage is too strong. As we're jumping into game, it is just a Poro to kick things off for Freakz.
I'm going to go ahead and play a Blazing.
Going over to the same exact start as the first, as the second game, which is just getting that Blazing down. The Scorcher on the board, ramping up to try and get to that Aurora. Can't play it next turn, but the turn after. And will Freakz have the sabotage?
Yeah, will they have the sabotage? Will Gameslayer have a Sky Splitter at a time that, like, in this portion of the game where you can actually get quite a decent amount of value? Like, if Freak's plan to deal with the Scorcher is to send multiple units at it and try to get rid of it, are they going to be able to do that, or is it going to be 6 might unit central and the Sky Splitters all of a sudden are just not super great at all?
Just gonna remove the Poro in, trying to control the Hillock.
Put a buff on my guy.
Doesn't want to let Gameslayer just have the Hillock for free. But that does mean... Oh, okay. So actually just going to charm in.
Yep. That feels pretty good.
Bye-bye. Pass.
That... Yeah, 5 into 6. The Poro able to take that down. I like this play. Get control of the Hillock early, but now when you move into Dreaming Tree, especially conquering into Dreaming Tree, makes a little bit more sense for Freakz because you're going to want to play your buffs trying to conquer.
Going to pay
try and get that additional draw. Accelerate the Lee Sin to go take out, but that's just a tie.
No, it wouldn't. You got the shield.
Oh no, Gameslayer miscounted.
Silly set of decisions I just made.
Oh no, so he is just gonna trade.
You sure?
Yeah, it's fine.
3.
Okay.
Wow, Freakz saying just take it back. In a winning in.
Shield plus the buff.
Freakz has just said take it back.
That
is so. I mean,
the rune should be swapped out, right? The rune on bottom should be in play, and the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, that's a display of sportsmanship for Freakz for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool to see. There is no reason for him to let that go back.
No obligation.
No obligation, right? That was like very easily like he made a mistake. He miscounted. He forgot about shield. And I think Freakz maybe just recognizing, you know what, TTS, sometimes it's hard to see. The shield was covered by the buff. Freakz is like, that kind of sucks. Take it back.
Or is like, couldn't care. Still gonna win.
Yeah. It's like still gonna win. But that's also fine too. But I love that from Freakz. That's really sweet. And we'll see how this game goes.
As I'd say here in the UK, that's class. All right. Well, we've got our buddy Lee Sin here. We've got a lot of resources. We've dodged the sabotage. We're now at critical mass of runes here for Gameslayer. What are we going to do? I mean, we're behind, but we're not so far behind that it's insurmountable. I mean, it's actually kind of ideal scenario here if you're Volibear.
If there was an Aurora, I think.
If there's
If the Aurora's in,
it's
if the Aurora's in
ideal-
hand, you windmill
Yeah.
slam it. But I get
It's-
the feeling it's not there.
yeah,
Is why we're having a think.
it is ideal in terms of if you could say, could I be put in this position? Like
Lee Sin's going to move in.
at the start of the game, if I could choose, would I put myself in this position
And
with
I am...
not knowing the cards in hand? You would almost certainly say yes. Like you're not super far behind. Your opponent doesn't have a massive board. You've, gotten pretty severely blown out by one charm, but you're not out of the game. I would probably take this position if you are Gameslayer. But
And I'll play out the Cadrigan.
without the Aurora, you don't necessarily want to take that. But with the Cadrigan, not a bad follow up.
Get one back.
I mean, this just tells me that the Aurora is not there, and Gameslayer really wants to find it. I mean, potentially does have this turn to look, right? Freakz is going to go up to 4. Doesn't really have the might on the back row to threaten your board just yet. There is not even the ability to go into Dragon next turn, right? This is just going to be going up to 7 runes, not 8. So this is kind of the opportunity to get this Cadrigan down, buy yourself a turn where Freakz is slowed down just a little bit, and hope that you've hit the Aurora off of these 2 draws off of Cadrigan. You get 1 more draw for turn, and maybe that's enough.
Yeah, and again, like this is still prime Sky Splitter territory. Like can kill any of the units in play, or certainly at the battlefield. Like if you need to, it can happen.
Yes.
Now we've got our 6 might unit, so not able to kill that one, but all the other ones
Get my
are
hull point.
prime tickets.
Right? Just a development turn from Freakz. This makes a lot of sense. Sabotage to see the hand from Gameslayer this time, and wow,
Zonya's Defy. Alright,
hand isn't
we'll
great.
take out
I'm
the Defy.
curious. Yeah, I think the Zonya's generally is a better take than the Defy, but if Gameslayer has defiable cards left in hand right now, then the Defy makes a lot of sense. Get rid of it.
We'll play
Yeah.
down the
If you've
Aurora.
got to get excited, then you want it. And it looks like Cadrigan found the Aurora. Gameslayer might have turned the corner because Freakz did not find a lot of ways to draw cards, even with his Dreaming Tree.
yeah, Cadrigan
Down to
is
only
good
2
go.
cards in hand,
Okay.
none of them being good resources to actually break through this Aurora. And
then,
even though Freakz had the early
Aurora.
lead, Gameslayer is now going to start getting things rolling with this Aurora, and it might be a position where
Alright, we'll play Lee
the
Sin.
game gets out of hand for
Don't be
Freakz.
dumb.
It definitely seems like that. I want to note
We'll
a
get the
slight
back.
in this
Go
case
ahead.
it doesn't matter at all, but it's another slight non-optimization where the Cadrigan ganked over after playing the Aurora. That just opens up an opportunity to play an action before the Aurora resolves, which in the case where your opponent is A, tapped out, and B, the cards in their hand, is of no consequence. But just something to keep in mind. You want your Aurora to be the last thing you play so that your opponent can't kill the Aurora
Right.
In response before it actually gets triggered.
Yeah, especially important into order decks, salvage being at action
Absolutely.
speed.
Yep. It's just this all of a sudden just looks awful for Freakz.
Well, this guy now.
Not
Looks like he needs to dig for another draw. Just going to go and try to trade Eggplant Man in with a Lee Sin.
Yeah, and notably not playing the Zonyas first. So maybe just looking for Dragon? Yeah, you wouldn't be able to play Zonyas and then Dragon.
Yeah, that's going to resolve. Which Lee Sin do you want to kill?
This one.
Cool.
Which Lee Sin do you want to kill is very funny.
Kill that Lee Sin in particular.
So there's the ramp. There is the additional draw. I mean, Freakz is putting everything together. Question is there the White Flame No,
It
but it is just going to be Master Yi slammed down. Pookie to give the buff. So Master Yi can get over the Lee Sin. 7 into 6
Yeah.
onto Hillock. Hillock control going back to Freakz and getting the point.
In response,
Uh-oh. In
I'm
response
going
has been called by
to,
Gameslayer. Is this a get
excited
excited? It is!
Yi.
Oh,
And this is why you take the Defy away with the
Yep.
salvage.
Alright.
Oh no, it's just immobilized. Okay, I thought it was gonna be a blowout, Blevins, but it's just gonna make a trade.
okay. I mean, still
I wish I had
fine.
a-
I mean,
a
it could have been
70% handle, but-
horrifically bad for Freakz, but instead it's,
okay too.
I mean, still not ideal. Now, now we're able to really threaten the Hillock again. Dead Bloom
Focus, yeah.
is active from hand
Results.
and from Aurora now. Like, this is, I mean, it was lackluster, but that was all that really needed.
my
I mean,
point.
we just, Gameslayer just needed to clear that Yi there. That was actually quite pivotal. Get excited, really showing its value there. I mean, you can imagine the scenario where that is absolutely backbreaking.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a Sky Splitter in hand, a Volibear in hand, a Kadrigan in hand, anything like that, and it's just goodbye, Master Yi. Lee Sin stays on the board, and the game is probably over. But that trade, I think, was very impactful for Freakz to be able to get some material off of the board, get another point. Now, going up to 5, not necessarily the biggest thing, but it does feel like Freakz is going to have to crawl towards the finish line at this stage.
Well, and having the buffed Master Yi there is 9 effectively on defense, which is too big for Dead Bloom. I think that's the biggest breakpoint, right? Is like Dead Bloom no longer can just attack. You would need to 2-for-1 yourself in one form or fashion to take care of that Master Yi there. So that, I mean, it's very impactful that it got taken out.
Back over to Gameslayer. Freakz once again having to be topped out, not really risking much material. It is just going to be the
I'm gonna pay
Pookie.
10, and I'm going to bring out the Volibear.
Oh boy. 10 for the Volibear, just going to
back.
play the partner, or the chosen champion.
Aurora.
Yep.
And Aurora's going to trigger. Freakz can get to 6 this turn from the hold. Not going to be denied from that. Maybe some room for Freakz, actually, on this turn. Volibear is threatening going forward, but not the biggest play, and the Aurora only hitting a 5.
Right,
The question is, does Freakz have enough gas? We know that hand was really soft. Had to play Master Yi and the Pit Rookie on the last turn. We know Zonya's Hourglass was hoping to be deployed after Master Yi conquered over the Lee Sin, but the problem being that there was an answer. Gonna Sabo to look at the hand.
The Stormbringer that's
Finds the Stormbringer that was existing, lurking in the wings.
But I didn't have anything above a 6 to kill the
Surprise, bear.
It's a card that doesn't often make it into Volibear decks, but Gameslayer running the full suite of 3 in the sideboard. I think this is one of the matchups where you're very interested in this idea of playing the Stormbringer to try and break through walls that Master Yi can set up. And here it's awkward because these Void Seekers answer a lot of your cards very easily, and the Stormbringer doesn't
really good
feel
right
that
now.
relevant just yet. But the question becomes, does the Stormbringer become a problem for you later on, more so than these Void Seekers? And it is a really difficult question for Freakz. What you would think would be obvious, take the big spell, the big bomb, and leave these little things, I don't think is so abundantly clear in this spot. And I like that Freakz is taking a minute to at least consider the difference on these two, especially because the Void Seekers are also redundant. So it does feel bad to take one and leave your opponent still having one as an answer.
It does. However, like right now, Void Seeker is able to, 1-for-1 plus draw a card on every single unit that is in play right now. And with max runes, You can
Well, we move it.
you can spend 6,
Okay.
play 2 Void Seekers, and still have a 5 cost 5 might accelerate unit like that you could draw into. Like that's pretty much what the deck wants to do. So I actually really do like the taking the Void Seeker here.
All right, I mean, let's see if that Stormbringer comes back around to haunt Freakz. I don't disagree with the decision, considering what this board is, to just deal with
Yep.
with one of these Void Seekers, but it
I
certainly
know my hand, so yep.
feels terrifying to be worrying about that Stormbringer going forward, and looks like the hand is still tough again for Freakz. Ends up finding Mr. Eggplant Man and does get to score off of that. This is actually very meaningful. Readies it, brings it back.
Oh, nice.
Freakz going to 7.
Yeah, this is all of a sudden quite scary for Gameslayer. Like the point tempo really making a huge difference here. You know, we thought maybe that they were stabilizing, but if you can push just a little bit and win, it doesn't matter if your opponent stabilized. If you sneak in and get that winning point, game's over. It doesn't matter.
This is actually the issue, though, because now Freakz, a double conquer feels really unlikely.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some charm shenanigans that can get there, but trying to Giga Hold when you know your opponent is on Stormbringer now, and it's in hand, is nearly impossible. So the double conquer has to come down into this double Volibear.
That is 23.
2 charms can do it. We saw 1 charm earlier in the game. We haven't seen a second. We knew he didn't have one in hand. We know 1 card is Zonya's Hourglass. Going to get a draw again. Find your center, gets a rebuy.
1 point, doesn't it? Oh no, because yes, sorry, ignore me.
Fine.
Yes, because it costs 3. It costs less when I'm at
You
5
get
points.
another buy from moving Pookie into Dreaming Tree, theoretically. Actually, you're going to have to commit more than that because you know there's a Void Seeker there. Unless you sabotage it away.
I drew the 3rd Void
Oh, he
Seeker.
drew the 3rd one! Oh, that's so rough for Freakz because you needed to be able to deal with this so that you get to move into Dreaming Tree uncontested.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
I take a box, you go.
Yeah, and Freakz is just going to try. He has to chew through these because double is actually so brutal for Freakz. He would move in the Pookie, get Void Seekered, move in the first mate, get Void Seekered.
Yeah. I mean, as it stands, we're still.
Yep. Draw your card.
Okay.
The hold doesn't work because of the Stormbringer. Moving Eggplant Man in to just get the Conquer to play around the Void Seeker so he can keep more material back, safe from the Voids for now.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Gameslayer, if they get another action, if they get focus again, if they will cast the Void Seeker to draw the card. No. And they might not get it again. We shall see.
I will unguard this guy.
Just gonna on guard to draw.
Yep.
Looking for charms. He needs it this turn before Gameslayer gets to fully stack everything far beyond the reach of Freakz. Gameslayer just waiting on a Cadrigan to get ripped off the top of Aurora, draw into a bunch of Sky Splitters, and the game be completely unwinnable. Just gonna now hide that Zonya's Hourglass that's been trapped in hand for so long.
Mm-hmm.
You do force Gameslayer to try and push this Eggplant Man off the point, and you can get the value from that Zonya's. But really, you have to find the charms.
Does hiding create a chain? I would
Volibear
imagine it doesn't. Okay.
5 damage on the start.
Get your point for holding.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Get you win 5 times.
I pass priority.
Flip hourglass.
Oh wow, what a surprise! All right, I do nothing else.
Okay.
Get
Yep.
my point there.
All right. Up to 6. What else do we have? We have Void Seeker. I mean, we've got the.
Gonna play a Dread Bloom here for 8.
Okay.
All right. Just play more
Resolving Aurora?
beef.
This might be a Volibear going to the top 8. I don't think Freakz found the gas
All right.
to make this happen.
It's going to be tough to get through. What is that?
Yeah.
14, 19, 27 on one battlefield.
It has to be Dragon Primal Fury, and I don't even know if Freakz has the possibility to do that. And even from there,
Then what?
you can't take both sides. You can only get one.
Dragon Primal Fury would
Gonna
be
trade with a Volibear.
15,
Yep.
21, 24.
Trades the volley to draw a new
6.
card, but now it is just far too little on this board. Gameslayer should be punching a ticket to the top 8. The draw in the previous round, maybe just enough to get there. 5-1-1. Dropping Freakz out of the top 8. Freakz has been such a successful player in the early stages of Riftbound, constantly at the top of the tables. Been the player who made a lot of people cope on Victor because of his success with that deck.
Okay.
Work hard.
Yeah. They trade.
I mean, such a cool play. Primal Fury on this. Get the trade. Hourglass out.
Yeah.
It'd be really funny if there's something like a first mate, so you can send this in again with the Primal Fury buff. Keep chipping away, but it's just not enough.
You drew your sabotages after I got the Aurora down.
That's
That's
it.
kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
Volibear, top 8. It is not going to be the Kaisa Yi show.
GG's.
Well,
Yep.
Volibear, at least
Well,
possibly in the top 8.
It might
no.
still be the
Oh,
Kaisa
no.
Yi show. I mean, I know
no,
we got
I
an Annie there.
agree.
Sold out. Sold out didn't lose a set on Annie. So sold out's there on Annie. I don't know if Presto made it in with the Ari. He was just on the cusp of making it in with Ari. And then from there, yeah, I mean a lot of Kaisa, a lot of Yi, and maybe a Volibear. So it might be 3 decks that are not Kaisa Yi though, and I think that is a pretty acceptable top 8 in our current format for Riftbound Origins. So I'm not too upset about that, Blev.
I'm not saying that there should be no Kaisa and Yi, because I would question the results of that tournament or the entrance of that tournament if there's no Kaisa and no Yi at this point. But if when it's entirely Kaisa and Yi, that's where I start to say, all right, let's try to attack it at least. And we've seen that, right? We've seen plenty of decks and plenty of players try to attack that. I think the results from the Chinese tournaments, the Chinese regional tournaments, were eye-opening and inspiring to a lot of players to want to attack the meta. I mean, we saw that happen within the events themselves, right? We saw week to week the meta was evolving, and now I think the English or online tournament flair of wanting to play something different rather than just tweak the best deck, we're starting to see a bit more of, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, end of the day, this is still a tournament that's pretty low stakes, right? There is some stuff on the line. Looks like Jacob's been thrown up. There was like this teaser about some jerseys. There's like the notebooks that come through, which are really really cool stuff. Some play mats. Which is awesome. It's really great that there is some prizing, but at the end of the day, it is, more of that casual for fun environment, which is why I think even we also see things like Freakz giving that take back, which I still think was incredible display of sportsmanship there. Gameslayer still ends up taking the game at the end, and it might have, it partially been due to that take back. And I just think that's really cool that we kind of have this community in Riftbound early on where people are willing to do that and say, hey, I just want to play fun games. I want to play good games, and let's just play, let's just get there. And that was really awesome. But we are going to have the top 8 coming up soon. We'll see that cut soon enough. We're going to go to a break. We'll come back. We'll have the quarterfinals, and we'll be able to tell you who's all made that top 8. So don't go anywhere. We got more of the Riftlab Trials 2 when we return. welcome back to the Riftlab Trials II. Our players got really excited and jumped straight into the game, so we are just getting in with them, going into this turn 2 for Presto, able to already develop the clock to go up against the Ravenbloom student. We are starting with the Dreaming Tree from Presto and the Targon's Peak from
That's fine.
Prismaticism. A bit surprising on the choices for battlefields out the gates, because usually it's Dreaming Tree first game for the Kaisa when they are running the retreats, and especially because I think the retreats may be considered to be sided out in this matchup for game 2. It is kind of unique to see it not be the game 1 battlefield, so something that we'll have to keep our eyes on, because maybe that means the retreats are staying in for future games, even against Ari.
I will stupefy my own guy to draw 2.
Yep. Battlefield you want to lead on based on what your opponent is playing, and then you like how deep down the rabbit hole do you get, and can you get before it starts circling back on itself and you've just made the wrong decision because you outthought it. So sometimes it's just pick a random one and you're good to go. That's at least what I'm going to be doing.
I think that's horrible advice, Blev.
Horrific. Well, in this case, it probably is. It's not always. Sometimes it's better to do.
In early testing,
like game theory. No. Sometimes it's like game theory optimal to pick a random one if your like opponent is trying to game it, right, or trying to like pick what you pick.
Yeah, if it's arbitrary for your
predictable.
deck, then sure, then yeah.
It's definitely not always the correct.
Right, passed back over to Prismat. It looks
Also
like
my student here and
gonna go Dreaming Tree Cleave.
Trigger tree.
Gonna take advantage of Presto's Dreaming Tree to draw an extra card, just
So we
exchange
got
the Cleave for another card,
6,
and
right?
push past this Clockling. Goes to 6, -1 from the Ari, so it will be 5.
Up to 5. That is fine.
Okay. Draw from tree.
Yeah. So I need to go up.
See if there are answers for Presto, or if this is just going to be an accepted trade, but it seems
Unguard.
like he has effects. Goes with Unguard
Okay.
up to 4.
+2.
Yep.
And needs something else.
Draw
Chris can
card.
just
Currently
sit
not
and
good
pass for now.
Okay. I'll
Might
pass.
maybe just drew the card. No.
The Stupefy, that would get 2 at least even. But that does mean if any spell comes out from Priz, that still pushes this Ravenbloom student back over.
Yeah. Certainly, it's an interesting decision. Like, you are 2 energy to 4 energy right now, so like if you're Presto, you're probably not winning this exchange, especially like there's just so much in the range of Kaisa that you just straight up lose. So it's how many more cards do you want to commit and like trade
Discipline.
potentially 1-for-1
Okay.
with Kaisa?
You got a 6 and draw.
Willing to go with the Discipline draw again.
Stupefy the keeper.
Stupefy is the biggest possible
just-
blowout, I think. That's just gonna
just
Conquer.
allow the Ravenbloom to live and deal with the clock.
4.
Now, fortunately for Presto, all the cards he played did replace themselves, but it still is a very winning exchange for Prismat.
Mm-hmm. Very much so, and like that's the problem with
Find
going
yourself.
toe to toe
Okay.
with Ravenbloom student is like you're never getting ahead in that exchange. Like you're just hoping that you might be able to
That's
trade
fine,
card for
yeah.
card. It's just
Student.
not ideal.
Yep.
Bit of ramp from Presto with
Play on
Find Your
top left.
Center. Just gonna Stupefy to draw and set up
Okay.
another unit. Just trying to scale up in this game. I mean, this is green Ari Time Warp, right? This is an Ari Warp deck. This is a bit of a harder matchup for Ari Warp, but it does have the capability to get there. You just have to get into position and grind through a lot of Kaisa's resources to make it happen. The early points are not what Presto wants to see. It's why he was willing to fight over the Dreaming Tree there. If he's able to deny Kaisa the points, it is massive for Presto, but Not able to get that done on the
Semi
previous
over.
turn cycle, and because of that, Prismat is going to be able to build a pretty sizable lead.
I'm wondering if Presto is just fine trading cards
Playing
out with
Kaisa in my
Kaisa
base.
and hoping
Claw
that
in my
you're
base.
gonna
Mhm.
use resources to try to take out these early units when really all you care about is Ari. So you want to just use as many resources. You want them to use as many resources as possible on other things so that you can protect the Ari. But it's not great, right? Like it's really hard for you to get ahead when the Kaisa deck has so many cards, so much card draw, and the Ravenbloom student just gets additional value and might off of all of those cards.
And then already 2 runes with Targons. And pass.
All right, just develop Kaisa. Targons gets 2 runes back. That allows Void Seeker to be on the table as a potential answer on this turn.
Just deciding if I want to do anything.
Presto's been able to maintain a lot of cards in hand. Not down too aggressively when it comes to points.
I will.
However, there's a lot of
On
board
guard.
advantage here.
Card.
And it's just going to be an on guard onto
Yep,
the clock.
it's 2 on guard, discipline 2 short. So you go to 4.
Prismat still having that Void Seeker to potentially ship, but
Play
Presto
Void Seeker
can
and
have
keep
the
it.
Defy to answer it. That is the advantage of green decks going up against
True.
Kaisa. It's one of the reasons green has been
Yes.
able to prosper, and
Sure, student
there
dice.
you go.
Score.
Yeah.
Counterspell's good in card games. You heard it here first.
Turns out spending 1 energy to counter a 3 energy card. Good play.
Now Presto going to develop a Ravenbloom in the back. Does get the point, gets
for
the
1.
Clockling in, but of course going to be in trouble with that clock going up against some backline from Priz, and also Prismaticism has found some falling stars, and those cannot be answered by just a simple Defy. Will take a lot more to make that happen, and we could see them deployed to try and regain control over the board, but does get the hold point as well from Targon, so it is up to 4. 4 plays 2, but not on full point tempo to win in the next 2 turns.
I'll play Falling Star. Hit
Yeah,
each of your
Falling
units
Star
once.
seems pretty good. Prismat would need to play 2 spells here.
Discipline
Save
on
the Ravenbloom, or
Two.
just cast a Discipline.
Okay.
in response, obviously.
Yep.
Recall here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna retreat the
Draw a card.
Clockling.
Okay.
Keeps the Clockling around, does get the draw because of Dreaming Tree. Very efficient retreat, right? You get a draw
Mhm.
card, you get to channel a rune,
Yeah.
and you get the clock back, which can draw a card later. It can continue to cycle you through your deck, get towards your time warps, get towards your setups. But that does mean Priz is just going to be able to move in, get a Conquer, still keep a bunch of runes up for spells on the backside of this play. Drawing that extra card with the Kaisa on the Conquer. 5 plays 2. And the position not ready for Presto yet to be able to set up this green Ari. Look to try and end the game with Warp. The position is not there. The groundwork has not been able to be laid because of all these spells, all this removal that Prismat has had access to.
Yeah, Ari, you've got to do your homework before you get to eat your ice cream. And the time warp is the ice cream. The getting points and setting up the board position is the homework that needs to be done. And sometimes eating ice cream can get you a little more time, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to go to bed without dinner. Don't know where this metaphor came from, but I just ran with it.
Sometimes the board state is too hot. Sometimes the board state's a little too cold for you to time warp, but really you have to get it to a point where it's just right, and that's
that's why Ari is also known as Goldilocks, because that's in the public domain probably, so there's no chance that anyone would sue us. Hans Christian Andersen is gonna come back from beyond the grave and attack the stream. This is what happens when the players don't play at a fast pace. We get podcasts, Casa and Blev, and that's for a different time.
You there?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay.
And that time is right now.
Time is absolutely right now because we are. I don't know what the current discussion that is happening is, but we're, I guess.
I think the debate is if there is a potential spell that's supposed to be cast here on the side of Prismat, maybe cashing in this falling star to clear off the student with only one resource remaining. It's
Yeah.
unlikely that it can dodge it, but it is possible via something like a Stupefy just being cast in
guard, yeah.
response. And it does feel like for Priz, getting rid of any material Presto has is a pretty good path towards victory. But also,
Yeah,
this
it's
Falling
also
Star
play.
is an answer
All right.
to deal with Green Ari. So there is some consideration to just kind of throwing it out or holding it for that in
Pass.
the future.
Right.
And it is just the retreat of the Noxus Hopeful that Priz was considering, ends up going for it.
Oh,
Um,
can you? Priz could actually have cast Falling Star on the student and also the Kaisa to draw a card, right? Like that works.
Yeah.
You can target your
yeah,
Kaisa.
you
to draw a
would
card,
get
yeah.
completely boomed by Stupefy. But
just
and,
lose
and also,
the game.
and also remember the student was at 6 at that point in the turn. So
But it had
Falling Star.
already gotten hit by a Falling Star.
oh, you're right. Yeah. 3
not
damage
earlier.
counters would have been on it. Yeah, absolutely right. So actually, if you did double target the student, you could not lose that exchange
Right.
at that point. So that may have been part of the consideration, right? As we do see,
Mhm.
Kaisa is just going to get run over by Thousand-Tailed Watcher coming
big-
down. There's a lot of spells here, so actually you really can look for something like the Smokescreen plus the Hextech Ray. However, that will just lead to either a blowout via Defy or the student just moving in after the fact and
Right.
cleaning up the Kaisa. The consideration has to come, is it worth sending these resources? You do have to get the Defies out at some point. You can't try and play around it forever. It's one rune that has to be kept up to Defy. It's not realistic to play around it. You just need to have it in mind and take an account for in your plans.
Well, you have to pick your spots to play around it. And if you choose not to play around it, you just have to play. You have to play as though you're not going to play around it, right? Like you can't like be like, well, I lose to Defy here, and if they have it, I lose. If you can choose to not do that, you do. But if you can't, then there's no sense in playing around it if you can't beat it anyway, right? So seeing here if Prismat is going to make those plays. The devastating thing here is that you kind of have to commit both cards. You have to commit the second card before the Defy would come out. Like just doing the Hextech Ray or just doing the Smokescreen is not going to elicit the Defy. So you're going to get 2 for 1, which
Yeah.
is not
As
ideal. But
timed, we will like to keep at
Okay.
at a pace.
Yep. Kaisa dies.
Yeah, it's tough. I think just letting it
Thank
die
you,
is
Judge.
pretty reasonable here.
Score the point.
You're needing to get Priz to speed up a little bit. A lot of these decisions are hard. I understand why he's in the tank.
Oh,
When
definitely.
I'm looking at the hand from Kaisa, I know chat, you guys can't see it, but I'm looking here and we got 2 smoke screens, a Ray and Falling Star, and it's just a lot of spells, not a lot of replacement effects, and they're
Charm on
very
the,
dangerous into
not
things
the-
like the Charm on this, or not the Charm, the Defy on this turn, and it just makes things
Mhm.
really difficult. No replacement units is
Hopefully
going to be
Hextech Ray on Watcher.
terrifying at this point. There's going to be a Ray on Watcher. I like the leading with Ray because it just trades with
No- no
Defy
actions from
if Defy gets
Okay.
committed, and if not,
Damage.
you can smoke screen. If smoke screen
smoke
gets
screen on the Watcher.
defied, now you get to play the second smoke screen and clean this up.
Yep. Yep.
Defy.
Okay. I'll play second Smokescreen on the Watcher.
Kills it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll conquer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets the conquer point. Wait, this was such a sick play from Priz. I actually forgot about this part. Because he's waited until the charm comes in, he gets a conquer for this, goes to 6, so his point tempo is set up to win on this turn if he finds an accelerator, which he does not. If he had found any accelerator, the game is over.
That would have been insane.
I didn't see this line. This is why he's tanking, right? He's trying to find this out to win with this hand, and Priz finds the exact line that can win him the game right out the gates. Doesn't get there, right? Not able to find what he needs, but still opening up that out. Absurd.
Play a Noxus hopeful. Pass.
At this point, it is not looking fantastic for Priz.
I was gonna say, I think it's actually pretty okay. The scary thing is staring down a fistful of cards, right? But for Priz, Presto can't develop Green Ari and also Warp. Like, there's not this thing that can happen where you can lose right now. Because Presto's still down in runes, Priz has kind of one more draw to pair up with this Falling Star to really just end the game. And I do agree, I guess, you're saying it looks not great, and that's really just the card advantage, because as far as positioning to end the game right now, Priz has a very nice spot into Ari specifically, which doesn't really play removal and response. You're trying to hold locations, not actually kind of deny somebody from getting that initial conquer if you have nothing there.
Right, that is true. And it's really, it's gonna be timing. Can Prismat thread the needle here before this onslaught of eggplant men come down and take over the board? Or like, I mean, if you're one turn, if you got one additional point, all of a sudden Time Warp is starting to win the game.
Yet another Defy ripped off the top for Presto. He is going to get Green Ari into position, but we could see Darius ripped off the top. 3 copies in the deck. We've seen 0 so far. Yordle's not going to do it, but it would let Darius come in ready. However, it would not let the Falling Star be cast on top of that. So you're not able to play everything that you want on this turn. However, Falling Star in itself is pretty good in this spot.
Play Electron Yordle. Draw a card.
Yordle, what's the draw? Void Seeker. That will be answered by Defy.
I'll play Void Seeker on your Ari.
Our game is not done yet. The Defy comes out.
All right.
And we're still...
You're tapped out 5 mana. Hope cut.
Falling Star. Kill 2 units.
And then trade your board into the Ari.
Ari goes to 1 HP.
Mm-hmm.
We'll attack.
I like this even more. Ari goes to 1 HP.
Okay.
This works.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
It's the same, actually.
It's the same, yeah. The result is the same. It's just slightly... You get to use the full 6 damage, though you didn't really need to.
But now Priz down to 0 cards. That was the window. Now I'm really with you, Blev. Now I'm thinking it looks a little scary for Prismat.
It's tough.
Yeah,
though the rune situation for Presto is a bit tough.
Wait, what?
You got like 6 draws off of this streaming tree.
Decides to scoop it up. Yeah, he only had 7 runes. He can't accelerate. I thought he had 8. The Defy put him to 7. I miscounted the runes there. I thought he could just send the eggplant in to take the dreaming tree.
I was thinking the same thing.
No, it was 7 runes, not 8. He cannot accelerate the eggplant man. Priz squeaks it out at the very end.
Wow.
The last card in his hand is just enough to get over the top. And it comes off of that point that was able to be scored on the charm. Really well done from Priz to have the patience to hold everything back. Yes, he was pushed by the judge to make a play, but did decide on one that did work. And that was what he was tanking on. That's what took so much time. What felt like maybe a straightforward, okay, just protect the Kaisa, play out your cards, turned into this is a way that you can win by playing around this charm. Or even if he wasn't considering the charm, it was just the ability to capitalize in the moment when Presto finally plays that. It's really nicely done from Priz. I think this series is shaping up to be a really sweet one. That was just the margin of a single rune, and it was because the Defy was forced. If the Defy was not forced there, Presto gets to just play out his Eggplant Man, be able to take the point back, and because he's so far ahead in cards, Presto probably gets there.
It'd be really hard for Kaisa to come back from the no board, no cards in hand. Opponent has Eggplant in play. Like that's a tough one to come back from.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I said, is Prismat going to be able to thread the needle? That is needle meeting thread. That was elementary there. Like that was exactly what needed to happen. I mean, if the game went on literally any amount longer, Ari loses. But on that specific turn, with the additional point from the charm, with the Defy putting you back one run, I mean, that is a game of margins to the extreme there, and that's high level Riftbound right now, which is really great.
I wanted to briefly talk. We jumped straight into games, so we didn't get a chance to go over this. So I want to talk about the bracket really briefly, so that people know who made the top 8. I know we promised to tell everybody. You probably were able to look at the mainstream or something, but we did have 4 Kaisas make the top 8. Priz, Randy, Lusco Luna, and Wasianswag all made it in. But we also have Presto on Ari, Souledout on Annie, which to the surprise of nobody. Gameslayer made it in on the Volibear in that 7th seed. Nice. It was a win in. And Squip with Set. So 4 Kaisa, 4 other, no Yi. Once again, the West proving that they don't like Yi. And it was lower representation. It was only 11 copies, which was still second most represented. But the fact is 11 copies, 0% conversion. Very, very spicy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things. I mean, we've seen people have been asking on the comment section of the Winning Point podcast, which you can check out right on this YouTube channel, about, why are we seeing less Yi? I think there's a lot of reasons. I think it is certainly persona non grata here. It is certainly public enemy number 1. Everyone is trying to beat it. We see both of these. I mean, certainly this Ari deck is a function of trying to beat these Aurora decks, these Yi decks, but it's also people want to have fun in the games that they play. If you don't like playing Yi, if you don't like just play stats, it's not the deck to use.
The fact is, it didn't convert. Good players were on it. Freakz was on Yi, did not make top 8. So the fact is, it's not like, oh no, none of the best players in the tournament played Yi. One of the people who is argued as one of the best players that is played in these online Western tournaments is Freakz. He was on the Yi. He did not make the top 8. So it is also just like in the West, players are either countering it better or they're just not as good at Yi. Maybe, I don't know. Like I want to believe in Freakz, but it's also just like it's possible that China has a difference in the Yi play. We don't know exactly what the cause is for the difference in Yi between the two, but what we do know is, as you said, Yi going into this tournament versus a lot of the tournaments in China where Kaisa was public enemy number 1. In this tournament, I do think Yi was public enemy number 1 for on a lot of people's minds, and it should have just still been Kaisa. There's top 4. There's still 4 in this top 8. Prismat picking up the first game, 1 game away from making it into the top 4 on Kaisa, scaring us into the potential of 3 Kaisas in the top 4. Fortunately, 2 of the rogue decks are playing each other, so we aren't guaranteed. There's no chance of all Kaisa's top 4.
Yeah.
As we are going to get into game 2 now, Presto versus Prismat. And we do have some of the sideboarding options coming in. Immediately, we're seeing Prismat with an Acathian Rain that has been brought in from the board. An interesting choice for this matchup, but considering how many 2-drops the Ari was sticking and kind of the fact that, green Ari has, that 4 life, I do think it kind of makes a bit of sense to have the Rain just to make sure Presto can't get a runaway hold at any point during the game.
Yeah, I mean, this matchup seemed a lot like your spells are flying, combat is happening, you're having these, not necessarily counter wars, because obviously Kaisa doesn't have counters, but these spell wars happening with Ravenbloom students and other buffs, and whoever's left with the material is in a very good spot. Well, Cathian Rain just says, that's not going to happen. You're going to have nothing left on the board. You can't counter this
3 for
with
Yordle.
Defy, so let's just... There's no war here. It is just a slaughter.
2 for a hopeful. I'll pass.
This hand definitely for Priz needs to have some patience, but a good development turn. 5 runes. You've got a 3-drop Yordle, and then the Legion effect for Hopeful to get that in for 2. Very efficient, but that is going to be Presto getting a draw from Grove of the Godwillow and a hold point. So exactly what the Ahri deck wants to see with the early game is, hey, you can't contend with my student. I'm going to trade passing a full open pass with 4 runes for a card, which I think is a reasonable trade, right? Not allowing Prismat to send in, but the response from Kaisa exactly what it needs to be when your opponent open passes with 4 runes. Develop, don't engage.
Yep. Just put as much material on the board as you can. As we said, at some point it's going to force a move from the other player if you're able to contest their board. Prismat has a lot of effective power in the Stupefy and the Smokescreen right now. So if that, and has a lot of actual power on board, including their own Ravenbloom student. So we could see the engagement happen here. It is definitely scary to do that, but it could happen, and it's going to need to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think with the double draw of Darius, I think Priz can play a little bit looser with this unit. Usually, you're trying to make sure that you can potentially get 2 uses out of it instead of just the 1 when you have to play a Darius early game. It's often one of your finishers to get the winning points, those last 2 conkers. But when you have the 2 copies, there's more consideration for Priz to just spend 1 now to try and gain control of the Godwillow's Grove, not let Presto keep holding that for free, and then have the second one to try and close out the game.
Yeah, Darius is one
How many off
that
spells are you on?
has been it has been between 2 and 3 copies
I'll
in
send my
most
Yordle here.
lists. Some lists only running 1, though. It is mostly a 3 of
No, I
or a
passed
2
my
of.
turn.
It's the type of card that it's one of the few champions that ends up being at that
Okay,
sort of 2
I'll
or
pass
3
my
of
turn.
consistently,
Yeah, possible.
versus a lot of them just being in your chosen champion slot and opting for other cards. It's just a strong unit, right? Like it is stats. It is that 5 might accelerate unit like we saw in the Volibear decks, although it actually is effectively 7, which is really good. And well, there's Darius number 3.
Yeah, I mean, look at this, right? So Presto holding all those resources open does kind of show his hand a little bit by playing that Find Your Center in response to Priz going to the first battlefield, but he kind of has to. He's a little afraid that Priz will just develop and pass again, and he's stuck floating all those resources. So instead he ramps in now. 3 runes available. I think Priz can start to think about, hey, I got this Stupefy through. It didn't get defied. I got to draw my 2 cards, and now Darius can come in for 7, and I can try and actually push through on this Godswill's Grove. But he has to think about the ranges, and he may have to sacrifice some material to make it happen, because just 7 can get beat by 2 pumps going on to the Ravenbloom student. And at this point, I would assume that 2 pumps are there.
Yeah, I mean, the worst case, the most amount would be Smokescreen at -4, and then On Guard at +2. So that would be 6 with 5.
Mulliganed 1 card.
Be 11 effective versus 11.
I'll send Darius.
Well, this is 11 effective, so this would be a trade if my math is right, which again, it unlikely
I'll
is.
pass.
It's
9
definitely
instead.
not, because I wasn't factoring in Ahri. So this actually does lose to that currently. Because
No.
Smokescreen.
No spells
I mean,
available for Priz either.
Yeah, there's no Smokescreen, so I don't know why I'm focusing so hard on the
Yeah,
math
there's
there,
also
but
there are 2 copies of Smokescreen in the sideboard of 4 Presto, so it's possible they could have been in the deck for this game. Presto does not have a Smokescreen in hand, so it is just going to be what pumps he does have, and the first one is that Discipline, which will make the Darius go down,
Okay, I'll
but
trade
I think
Darius.
Priz has to be pretty accepting of that.
Yeah, I'll trade Darius.
Point for conquering.
Does get to score, gets to take the Godwillow Grove away from Presto. And now, when we're looking at Presto's hand, he's got 2 units remaining. He's got an Eggplant Man. He's got one of the Ravenbloom students. He's just going to accelerate Eggplant Man in. try and retake the Grove. This is the most important thing for him to kind of hold at this point, but Priz now has a lot more control in this game. Presto having to tap out to do this does have the ability to still play something like an On Guard or a Stupefy, so effectively looking at 9 might, because we have to factor in Ari ability as well. So it's not the easiest thing for Prismat to move, but certainly it feels like a much better circumstance. And we know Prismaticism has drawn all 3 Dariuses to just play 1, but he can continue to just chunk away using that big boy Darius Trifarian.
Yeah, and it's going to be Darius Smokescreen just takes this, right? Like, oh, I guess it does, because if it gets defied, your Darius is just going to win straight up. Smokescreen does play around On Guard, so I guess it'll be a matter of, does Prismat want to play around On Guard and just preemptively use the Smokescreen, or are they going to play one of the sentries to trigger the Darius, but essentially get blown out by the On Guard? I can't imagine that they're going to do that.
Well, even
they're definitely
more
not
so,
going to, because it would just trade because of Ari.
Let's keep up pace a little bit.
Okay.
Judge gonna step in again. It does feel like Priz has been playing a little slower than he should. I do think he needs to pick it up.
I do think that it is obviously like a key turn on a very advanced board state. Like, I'm not. I would not.
I'll play Kaisa.
I don't fault.
Oh, it's
Priz
understandable.
for taking time,
Yeah.
and also like you see, Priz is not a slow player. Like Priz.
No, he plays fast.
Plays super fast. It's just calculating what the best play is and then executing it.
Yeah.
Score.
It was a bit unfortunate for Priz. I think he accidentally flashed his smoke screen when he was going to play out his sentry, and if Presto caught that, that is going to be some additional information that he has.
Yeah, I mean it is, but the like knowing it's there for a fact is only slightly better than playing around it.
He was going to play around a spell that he can defy anyway when he's got a defy in hand. So.
Well, yeah, but like a player like Presto is going to be factoring in smokescreen anyway, so it's only slightly better than it's only slightly better to know for a fact that it's there, you know.
Wow, interesting. Presto just slams the warp for +1 points here. Another card draw, re-ramping, was looking probably for another warp and then to start setting it up. Jamming warp in that spot is so interesting to me.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that's what the deck wants to be doing. Well, obviously it's not what it wants to be doing. It doesn't feel like it can do that and still win. That as someone who has played exactly 0 games of this deck, as the ruling authority on the Time Warp Ari deck, having played actual 0 seconds of the deck, it doesn't feel like that's a winning line.
So what he's gained is he's cheated to 6 points. Yeah. And he drew like 4 cards because he is holding God Willow when he time warped. So he's got this just massive wealth of resources, and he's put Priz on double conquer lethal. I actually, this is such a like nuanced but smart play, right? Because it's opening up this potential to look for a double conquer. I think if it's still Presto's turn, he's probably going to move back the Eggplant Man as well. Potentially play for this double conquer, Sprite Mother, 1,000,000 buffs in hand, just try and conquer to 8, because the weakness of Kaisa is she's not good at holding.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the double conquer line makes sense. Eggplant Man coming back too. I mean, I like it. The other consideration is like just force Priz to put resources into to kill the Fey Folk, and get the ramp, get the draw when it happens, and then just you're gonna have Ravenbloom Student in the back line. You've got a Sprite Mother in hand to effectively have another accelerated unit, and just go for it.
If that's all right. You haven't even untapped.
Yes.
Oh,
that's
judge.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is fine.
Okay.
And then
Mana open.
telling that you weren't.
he
gonna
also
do that,
just has
you
this
know.
Thousand-Tailed Watcher draw that just wins the game on the spot. This is the
Oh,
other
yeah.
thing to look out for the
Yes,
Ari. There's so many cards in
That
hand
is
already.
true.
So much of the deck's been dug through. Hasn't found a Thousand-Tailed Watcher, but if he does, that will pretty much seal it.
It is definitely hard. This is you're never playing around Thousand-Tailed Watcher. You just accept your fate and try to play as if they don't have it and won't draw it.
Yeah, I mean, from this stage of the game, really, there's not much more for Priz to do. This one's been fully in control of the Ari side. Looking at the Sacathian Rain, seeing if there's any opportunity for that to be deployed and actually feel good, because clearing out the backline does open up a lot more possibilities for Priz to come back.
Yeah.
It would clear up everything. There's only one rune available for Presto, though that one rune can actually stop a couple of kills from Acathian Rain. If only one target is selected on the Ravenbloom student, then playing any spell will pump it out of range.
Mm-hmm.
And then playing a spell onto something like the Feyfolk, if Exaxes is put on the stack from the
I'm
Rain,
just gonna grab some water while you think.
does make it tough.
2 seconds.
Looks like Presto just grabbing a drink of water, which I suggest everyone do, especially if you are playing in a high stakes tournament. Have that water ready for you. I know I've got mine right next to me.
Blevins sponsored by water. Just
Sponsored by
generally.
water, not a water company, just water itself.
7.
Water.
Yep.
All right. Here's Rain.
Red.
Gonna have to wait for Presto to get his water.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And here's the Exaxes I was talking about, where one spell
And you still got 3
can
floating
kind of
afterwards,
blow
or
this
one?
out a little bit.
3 floating after.
Okay.
One spell, but we do see the smoke screen from Priz, so it's
I'll
pretty
let,
safe.
This resolve then. So this will die first.
I ordered it so the other ones resolve first.
Didn't you literally just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
But yeah,
6?
but they would resolve in the other order. I mean, if we're gonna go into that, then because the order they get put on the chain, they resolve in the other order.
I feel like this is a semantic. There's
This
no.
is-
Okay, they're just figuring out
no
order stuff.
discussion that
I
needs
mean,
to happen.
I think at the end of the day, Presto's still gonna have priority.
Yeah, I mean, my only issue there is that he's now got information that I wanted this to die first, and like specifically said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is after he's like, I would normally be fine with this, but
We
clearly you
seem to have a judge
like,
call here.
guy there, so.
I'm just trying to
It
figure
is
out
a
exactly the ordering.
common like miscommunication between players to do it. It's better for players to decide how they're going to call this, but Priz's way of doing it is fine if consistent. So
Okay. So
See what's happening here. We'll just wait for the resolution, really, and kind of see what's going on. Basically, what's happening is there's just a dispute on
Then these.
how things are on the stack. Priz has put everything onto the stack in an order because it then would resolve in the reverse order that he put it on the stack.
Yeah.
It's very common that people shortcut this
So,
to say this is the order I want it to go in, and that they
Yeah.
count it there. So they're just trying to make sure that everyone
Um,
understands what's happening, and
I
from there we'll
will
see exactly what's going to go.
Yeah.
So Presto's now
And
just going to respond out the gates with a retreat.
Yep. In defense of the way that Priz is doing this, that's the way you would have to do it in Magic. You can't just say, "Oh, it's going to like at
Yep.
competitive level." You can't just like, "Oh, this is
Fine,
the
that's where
order
it
it's
goes
going to
back.
resolve." You have to actually put it in the right. You have to
Alright,
put it
no
on technically correct with the
And it resolves. Can we
with
get
how
rid
the
of
rules
one?
want it.
Yeah, it resolves.
So
Okay. So 2 on the student.
So,
That dies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Resolve.
I also think at the end of the day, this is going to resolve like this regardless.
Yeah, it's I don't think there was going to be a difference. I mean, there is advantage for Ari if it does kill the Feyfolk first. You can wait for those
Right.
first 3 pings, draw your card, and then respond to the rest.
Right.
And I'll trigger my student.
Yeah. I mean, it has
Now
been
there
rated,
is
so.
2
I
damage
thought you were
on
fine,
this
so
Raven Blue student.
just thought I'd let you leave it.
Yeah, I mean, it is still a hard game going second into Grove.
Let's see. From here, Priz still has to deal with the potential of Fox, and that is the big thing he's thinking about. It's going to be Fox plus Sprite Mother going into 12 runes for Ari.
Yep. Can you possibly beat that is the question.
Smokescreen can potentially get there if you're able to just leave that up, but then you have the student left, which I think changes that math and makes Smokescreen maybe not get there anymore. I'm going to try and draw some cards. Offering up the trade in the way
I
where...
have a unit. I completely forgot I have a unit.
You have a yeah, sure.
So now that it's 4 into 3,
4 against 3.
Ravenbloom is going to definitely go down. Presto can just take the trade, but also has an on guard.
Yeah, just killed the 2 and the 1.
Okay.
So there was probably consideration to just actually ripping the on guard there with that 1 floating rune and drawing.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, you are way like probably want the Defy up for Voidseeker maybe.
Well, Voidseeker's not going to be relevant on this turn before Presto untaps, right? Because there's nothing.
It would kill the student.
Well, Voidseeker.
Oh,
can only
Voidseeker's
hit on
only in base.
battlefield.
You're right. You're right. You're when you're right. You're right.
I'll Falling Star the student. Hit it twice.
That is one thing that with I wonder if they should keyword like either only at base or damage anywhere, because it is a bit it's not easy to unless you just wrote memorization, it's not easy to know, you know. Like yeah.
There's no way to actually save this student due to the fact that it has 2 damage from rain already.
No, pass.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it would have healed because of the combat. So there was possibility to try and there wasn't enough effects to push it over. To be clear,
Right.
On guard would push it directly to 6, so it would still die.
You misplay. My original plan, I think, is guaranteed. We just math it out.
So from here, like it is the Fox off the top of the deck. Try and close out the game. Fox plus Sprite Mother into 1 open rune. I don't think is losable.
It is just 1. Yep.
Come here.
Actually, it could lose to Ray specifically. Fox plus Sprite Mother completely taps you out. You can get raid and lose there. It is just going to be Sprite Mother. On guard, take this out. Maybe retreat. Oh no, the retreat was already spent, so there's no retreat. But there's a second Sprite Mother.
Oh, okay.
Yep, you got it.
I can just push that in, and that's going to be game 2 going to Presto, tying us up to go to the last game of the series, which will be War Camp from Ari into Reaver's Row from Kaisa.
Yeah, I mean, War Camp very strong for Ari, significantly less strong for Kaisa, and Reavers honestly is pretty good for Ari as well. Like you're able to keep your material potentially. You're at least not going to lose your material from getting attacked, right? Like that's the
It opens up some opportunities for you to be a little bit faster with things like Green Ari, right? Because if you can stick it to Reavers, you can just run away if an accelerated unit comes in to deal with her.
Yep. But still certainly better for Kaisa, I would imagine.
Yeah, it should be. It should be a little bit better.
Should be a bit better. But yeah, I mean, this has been a fantastic match so far. In Ari, a rogue deck of sorts versus Kaisa, the queen of the battlefield at this point. I mean, it would be a pretty big upset to see it happen here. We'll take a look at the Kaisa deck, I mean, we saw the Acathian Rains come in. Did not at least see any of the other cards specifically come in. I don't think that we're going to want Sprite Mothers in this matchup. I wouldn't think.
Yeah. I think
It's just the
one
rain.
thing I look at in this matchup, and I'm curious if it's the case, but I think especially on Reavers, you don't have Dreaming Tree anymore. You're on Reavers Row. Retreat feels pretty redundant, and I'm curious if there's a better card in the board that can come in. It might just be the Rains are coming in for those retreats anyways, because I think most of these other cards make sense to just have already been in.
Yeah, we saw the Watchfuls. I mean, you can't really cut 2-drops, right? You're not cutting any of the obviously best cards in the deck.
Yeah, you could maybe cut a few 2-drops, but it would more likely be something like the Pouty Poro that gets cut.
Right.
Because that's more for, the Kaisa Mirror. Yes, there's things like Stupefy, and that deflect cost can be very real since Ari wants to ramp up, but it's just Stupefy and Charm, and really Pouty Poros are not going to ever eat Charms.
No.
Unfortunately,
Unless it's gonna win you the game.
They cannot get me Lucky Charms. They're just not allowed at all. They're looking like leprechauns, actually.
Yep. Cannot do it. They don't have Lucky Charms here. I haven't had them in so long. I missed
no Lucky Charms there?
No.
You just want some soggy marshmallows and...
I just want soggy marshmallows and used alphabets. I meant to say leftover alphabets, but it used is so much more disgusting.
It's so much worse. It's so much worse.
Like dehydrated. They were the leftovers from lunches around the country that were uneaten. They just dehydrated.
Chucked them in a box with some marshmallows for you to sog up.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure the Lucky Charms marshmallows are made up from shredded sneakers. I'm pretty sure that's the recycling process for those. So pretty much the same consistency there. Anyways, thankfully we're back into the match. So I don't have to make up more Lucky Charms lore as is custom on the Turn 'em Sideways B stream.
Oh God.
Send my sentry here.
Yeah.
All right. Just going to be kicking things off. 2-drop for Kaisa. Just going to develop Survivor in the back row after taking the Reavers. Presto is going to find the Student early once again, which is generally the best thing for this deck. It has a lot of tricks. Student can get pumped up to some pretty unreasonable numbers. This deck is honestly, I think the Ari deck has been the one that I feel abuses Student the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it has shown itself in these first few games, but of course, keeping all these runes open into nothing from Priz is not going to be that valuable, and we'll see what happens from Presto. Going to be sending it in to the war camp, and we'll see how much he keeps up for tricks on this next turn.
Yeah, no Lucky Charms, but tricks are for Ari. Apparently, that's pretty much the entire deck, especially with the Ravenbloom Student being able to get effectively an additional might out of every single one of them. It's just scary, right? Like, not many other decks are willing or able to just open pass, right? Like, just, hey, you know what? Send in the clowns. I don't care. You're not going to get through. Like, it is ridiculous to think that you can play around everything that's in the range of all of my runes open in a full grip of cards.
And I mean, that's what's leading to a lot of the tanking from Priz, right? Is you have these wide ranges that Ari is presenting for you. It's making the decisions so incredibly difficult every time. All the information tends to be on Presto's side. Yes, Kaisa still has her own tricks, her own spells to go through, but it's more
I'll play Falling
having
Star,
to be proactive, whereas Presto gets to react
targeting Ravenbloom
to
twice.
whatever is done.
Yep. Now
Student with 2 targets from the Falling Star.
We need 2 spells.
So that would put me to 7, right? Yeah.
To 6.
Put me to. Oh, damn. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing,
Mistake
but it
from
only puts
Presto.
to 6.
I don't know why I thought it would give me that much.
He's got another spell, though. He can get around this. Does have to be reaction speed, and I don't think he wants to commit another spell. Felt like the discipline was getting there, and of course, just needed to take a second of extra time on that one, and Presto would have gotten there.
Yeah,
It's a high stakes match. Got to tank a little bit.
Now it's a like sunk cost. Like, do you commit the extra card because you committed the first one to save the Raven Bloom? Like, is it worth it?
He's going to. I mean, the benefit is that you're probably, you're trading off the Kaisa when it comes in, not letting Priz take this for free. But 6 damage there currently. If there is something like a smoke screen, you can just say, all right, I'll take this this 2 for 3 in this scenario and get rid of the student.
And then draw another card with Kaisa. Like, it all works out quite well for Prismat here. Not going to do that, but develops a lot of material here on the board. Presto able to get that hold point while keeping the Ravenbloom student alive.
To be fair, without spells for Priz, it was unsafe to just send Kaisa in for the trade. There were still runes up for Presto. Even if he'd already committed 2 pumps, it's possible he had more. It's possible he had his own smoke screen. He could have his own Stupefy even, I think, was enough with Ari ability on top of it. And putting the Kaisa down all the way.
Range.
Even just another discipline, another on card, pushes things over the top.
Yep.
It's going to be another student getting jammed into the war camp, and war camp's so hard to take. I mean, students are just 3 a piece there. You get the -1s from Ari, and then every spell is +2 alongside its other effect.
Yeah.
Student is just so crazy for this deck list.
Yeah, we called it a long time ago that Ravenbloom student is the best unit in Riftbound, and I think maybe that was a bit of a simplification, but pound for pound, it's gotta be. Like, there's a lot of metrics that you can look at that would lead you to believe that Ravenbloom student is the best unit in Riftbound, and this deck certainly showcases that. Drawing the card from Kaisa. Figuring out what the best line of play is. How do you break this? How do you break this line of Ravenbloom students? It's not an easy one.
I mean, it comes down to spells in hand, right? There's 4 additional runes open for Presto. That is a massive range for this Ari deck. So many 1 and 2 cost spells. We're talking about Defy, Stupefy, On Guard, Retreat, potential of Smoke Screen from the sideboard, Discipline. The range is crazy.
That's a way to do it. Thousand-Tailed Watcher.
It's a start, right? -2 on these students, but they can get repumped, right? They can't go lower than this. It's not like a static -3, so it's only getting -2 value.
All 3 of these. 12
You're not buffed.
I am buffed from the workout.
No, you're just,
oh no, right. No, you've Ari.
Yeah, Ari trigger counteracts the war camp.
Okay.
We've hit overtime now, but we're not using 5-round overtime rules. So play at normal pace. Just make sure we're keeping up a regular pace of play.
Okay.
Discipline on one of them.
Okay.
All right, Discipline is going to be basically +4 in response here.
Yep.
Already getting close to evening this up. It is 9 into 6 now. One more Discipline gets there.
Yep.
On Guard doesn't, though. 2 units on the base. On Guard is only representing +3, which would be a tie.
Would be a tie, yeah. It'd be a tie. I mean, Stupefy
also ties.
Yep. Also ties. I mean, there's a million things that tie, and then if you have 2 1-drops, you're golden.
think in this
So I'm at
situation,
6
it
versus
feels
two,
like
you've got
ties
9.
kind
Nine.
of go towards Priz
So I need +3.
as far as
Yeah.
removing all of these Raven Blooms being so high impact at this point. You'll trade all this for that. You're going to get another draw. It is an on guard.
Okay, so it's at least a
Plus
tie.
3. Is there a Stupefy? Is there anything left? Actually, 2 runes up. I thought it was only 1.
I'll draw 1 from Sentry.
It is a trade.
Hey.
That is massive for Priz. He
Ooh.
needed these Raven Blooms off the board.
Yeah, material way ahead for Prismat. I mean, material gone from Presto. Just plays a find your center. What is the follow-up going to be? I mean, we could see green Ari come out, but I mean, when you're just playing the green Ari for a body, that is not where you want to be. That is not a winning line.
No, it has to be that into some major follow-up to go with it. Because if he doesn't have another unit to really play, it might just be the only line available. And we do see that it is going to be the answer for Presto here.
Yeah.
He has to hope that there's no backline removal. A falling star in this spot probably ends the game right away. And then he has to get this green Ari into position. The Fox and the Kaisa going to be creating a lot of pressure. Survivor can retreat off of this at any point and look to go for a reconquer.
A falling star hit the
And
Ari
it
twice.
is the falling star that cannot be answered. That is just going to be the green Ari taking a dive and Presto losing his entire turn to just ramp and essentially do
I'll
nothing.
play a Yordle in my base. Draw card.
That should be Prismat starting to run away with things. He doesn't even have to put the Fox into danger just yet. He is at 4 points. He can set things up to go 4, 6, 8 and just keep the Kaisa safely on Reaver's Row.
Could swap the Kaisa for the Fox,
Play another
I
Yordle in my base.
guess.
Draw card. Move Kaisa to base. Pass.
Or
Not
I mean, you don't
even
need
going to
you don't
concern
even need
himself
swap
with leaving
yeah.
it on the Reavers. Setting the 2-turn clock. Presto with no units at base. No units on battlefield. 11 runes fully ramped, but the late game payoffs are time warp.
Yep.
You want to be in position for those late game payoffs to happen. And he's been denied by just barely not being able to get those Raven Blooms over the top.
Yep. There's an eggplant. There's
Cost.
Raven Bloom student
Okay.
number 3. And we have one more turn if we're Presto here to put something together. Obviously,
I'll send Kaisa here.
we've got the
Mhm.
2-turn clock
Okay.
from Prismaticism, and unless there are additional Ari or charm shenanigans, we're not going to see that
I'll send my Watcher here.
sped up at all.
Yeah.
And there's the clock. 6 points for Priz. 1 turn left for Presto to try and pull it back. Fox on Reaver's Row, 7 might going to be all but guaranteed for Priz to bring back to base and ready to send in for those final conquers. Full stack of runes still to redevelop if Priz has more units. The mountain is high for Presto to climb in the final moments of this game 3 of the quarterfinal. Kaisa, the perennial queen,
Falling star
sitting
hit
atop
each
her
one of us.
throne, and Presto on Ari trying to bring in a new queen to challenge. And it seems like it may not be enough as the
Play
falling
smoke
star
screen.
and the smoke screen
Oof.
mop up some of the last bastions of
Okay.
hope. The Defy going to
Smoke screen
take
favor.
care
Oh,
of
third
one of them,
falling
but
star,
do
that's
you
so
have
nice.
another? The
Yeah,
answer
no.
is no. Presto with nothing
I'll send
left.
3 mana.
Ready's up for the turn. 3 energy available for Prismat. Sprite's mother trying to do its best, but I think the writing is on the wall here, Blev.
Yeah, we
Okay,
might be
action.
able to not immediately lose.
Go to 6.
Maybe. but it is not looking good here for Presto. I mean, I'm trying to think of
I'll go for
the
a
perfect
tiebreak.
set of cards that would prevent this loss from happening, and I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
Your action.
Nothing from me. Trade.
You're at 6 currently.
Well, I passed, so you don't.
Yeah, no, I have another action then. I can still.
What? Don't you?
Like, it's
Yeah,
until we both pass.
He passed action phase to you. If you pass action phase, he still has another action phase since he played something on his last action phase.
Okay.
Just a little bit of a misunderstanding here. I think Presto thought both sides had passed, but Pris had played something and then passed.
Yeah.
Presto passed back.
Cast
Pris
spell.
has action.
Pass. Spell resolve. Yep.
7 mana left. Yep.
Considering, I believe, could it be third smoke? Does he have 3 in this deck? I was curious. I think there's 1. No, there are 3. Yeah, 3 smokes available for Priz. We saw 2. Smoke feels like the most likely after playing that Ray there.
I guess if.
Play
Well, no, you don't.
second hex.
Oh,
deck,
second
right?
Ray.
Yeah, second rain. Second rain does it. I guess it just makes it easier to. No, there's not even really a reason. You don't need to do this because I mean you're still threatening lethal next turn anyway with what you have on board. This just, I guess, forces the issue now.
Yeah, instead of just allowing the trade, he's forcing Presto to have an answer and then to push from there, and it is enough.
Nice
Presto
GG.
scoops up the card, says, good game. Prismaticism is going to win this matchup 2-1. We got a Kaisa in the top 4. First one, we'll see how many actually make it through as Presto's Ari run will end at the top 8.
Yeah, I mean, really great to hit the top 8 again. Like, I think all of these rogue decks putting up results, you know, whether it's a win, whether it's a top 8, I mean, that a top 8 is a result. It's going to give the inspiration to, hey, this is a base that you can build upon. This is what you can do to attack the meta. Like, whether you win, whether you get first in the tournament or 8th is really not that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, it feels like a big difference when you just lose in the first round of the top 8. But in the scheme of, is this deck viable? Can you bring this deck? Is this an idea to go off of and build upon? It's a big result for Ari here in a slew of other results that we've seen, but it's another one that solidifies it in this current meta.
Absolutely, big win there, and just getting some updates through, it looks like Souledout was able to win 2-1 with the Annie deck going forward to top 4, and then from there, we know that it is going to be Lusco Luno and Randy on a Kaisa mirror, so we are getting a Kaisa semifinal on the top half, and it looks like Annie is waiting for the opponent on the bottom side. But that's, I mean, it's possible that we'll have an Annie win. Souledout, been on this Annie for a long time.
Yep.
His worst matchup is Kaisa, and there's just a million of them in this in this top 8, and he's gonna have to fight his way through. But that would be a lot of silence to doubters on Annie if she can win in this kind of top 8, where it is so incredibly hostile with all these Kaisas.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think we've not seen another deck win a tournament in a while that's not Kaisa or Yi. It would be awesome to see an Annie do that. Like you said, not super likely given the matchup spread for Annie. But again, like, even the quote-unquote bad matchups in Riftbound are like 60-40, maybe 70-30. I don't know what the actual spread is for Annie, but like, it's not... Well,
no, it's not undoable.
No reason to shuffle this one up. Let's just scoop it up and let the Kaisa go to the final. You know, let the Kaisa win. It's not gonna. That's not what it is. So we could see an upset. That would be amazing. I mean, I think everyone in Riftbound is rooting for Annie right now.
So we'll see soon enough. That's our quarterfinal. We'll have one more semifinal on this channel with the alternate lobbies before everything gets kicked over to the Riftlabs channel for the grands. I know Blevins has to go and get ready to do a semifinals over on Riftlabs. Both of us will be on that grand final on the Riftlabs channel. at the end of the day. We're going to go to a break. We'll have our semifinal when we return, probably medium to long break. So, go get a snack, get some water, as Blevins was saying, and we'll be back with more Riftbound in just a bit. Back to the alternate lobbies of the Riftlab Trials II. We are heading to a semifinal, last stop before we make it to the penultimate series, and we are going to have Souledout on Annie going up against Wasianswag on Kaisa. I'm now joined by Dalton. Actually, Blevins just went and shaved, so there we go.
Right. Yeah, just
exactly. That's
shave.
what happened. Yep, got rid of the beard. He's here for the matchup now.
Couple of years lost, but that's about it.
Exactly. Yeah, this is Dalton. He's here to get us through this semifinal. First time casting Riftbound, right? Glad to have you on the channel.
Yes, first time casting Riftbound. Very excited. It's not a Kaisamir. I will be greedy in that first point. Very excited to see Annie, the Dark Child, here today going against Kaisa.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket real quick, and then we'll jump into these deck lists. It is going to be Prismat taking on Lusca Luna on the mainstream. That's going to be the Kaisamir we were talking about. Souledout versus Wasianswag here at the bottom, as Sold was able to take down the Volibear in Gameslayer. We saw Prismat take down Presto on this stream, and then Squip fell to Wasianswag in a very close nail-biter series on the main stream if you want to catch that later. But we are moving on to Souledout versus Wasianswag. So now I'm going to give Dalton a chance to dig into this Annie deck and let me know what you're thinking about it. Let's take a look at Souledout's deck first before we head on in.
Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff here. Really, like yesterday, we saw him going against the Kaisa matchup and being able to take care of that, as well as the Volibear. Having a lot of agency into the deck with fight or flight, and then sneaking deckhand. Very excited to see how this deck goes in terms of like the draw patterns. Love the distribution here with the Vayne, Kaisa, and Darius. Has been really consistent across the board. And then as well, the arenas, or I'm sorry, the battlefields, pretty standard. I had a conversation previously with you just because I've been seeing a lot of decks run Obelisk over the arena. And after hearing out the thoughts and opinions of it, I kind of agree. A lot easier to cycle and all that. So really fun to see that come out. But this Kaisa deck, we've been seeing it a lot. Thoughts and opinions?
Yeah, this is pretty standard, right? So it's good we get a chance to see Sold. I think he added some additional sauce that we hadn't seen previously out of Annie. I think the Veins are a relatively new addition for Sold, and he's kind of the resident Annie expert that we've got in the Riftbound community as of right now. He's been playing this deck for a very long time. He believes in it heavily. His worst matchup historically has been this Kaisa, and so the question is has he been able to make adjustments to the deck that are going to work? But we're going to kick things off with just an early conquer onto Reaver's Row. That is the choice for Wasian to start out, and Zon Warrens for Souledout. And it is just going to be a backline survivor being played down, and an accelerated Kaisa or Sold, taking advantage of Wasian tapping out to then try and secure an extra card draw, because one of the biggest issues with this matchup is Kaisa runs you out of resources. So the survivor is going to be able to help turn that around, give you some extra draws.
Yeah, most definitely. Seeing him play over these battlefields currently and getting the advantage on that draw is going to be super important later on. Going into the next phase here, or next side of things, we have kind of Kaisa sitting on the battlefield. They're going to be contesting each other. A lot of good reactions left in hand, Stupefy, and a choice. But just coming back, bringing the Kaisa back into the home base, and then allowing the point to go through. What this being said, the playstyle that you see right now, do you think that Wasian's going to pick up the pace comparatively to last round? You saw him holding back a lot more and being a lot more conservative, or do you think he's going to try and put down the pedal and trying to basically overrun the Annie?
Yeah, I think when you are playing on Warrens, you can't really give the opportunity for Annie to breathe. And so you're going to have to just commit your resources, try and deal with all of the material that Annie has as quickly as possible. You should generally have a lot more card draw, a lot more access to that. And then also Zon Warrens can lead to even more if you do kind of run out of cards. And so Annie's going to have a tougher time refilling, and you want to be willing to 2-for-1 yourself if you can get Annie off the board. Not letting her have opportunities to go for big ride the win plays are going to be paramount.
Yeah, definitely agree here. Comes the tap out, and then we're going to be playing forth the Noxus Hopeful. Both of them are going to come out here, going to be sitting back in the home base exhausted, being able to take over both of the battlefields here, earning themselves 2 points.
I'll pass it to you.
And all tapped out, no reactions here going forward. Ooh, what comes
I'll
out
go
from the
Kaisa.
draw? You see, what's that draw there? Void Seeker
Oh,
coming
okay.
out? Okay.
Sure. Good point.
4 damage, nice little easy clear. We'll see how it goes from the next
Go Poro in here.
turn. Pulling
Yep.
out the Poro.
Just going to continue trying to lead towards this point tempo, right? Soul has been able to score the 2 points early, so he's on curve to go 2, 4, 6, 8. This is a big thing in these matchups where you're trying to play around tempo. You're trying to make sure that you are the one leading the first person to get to 6 points so that you can go to 8 on the following turn. And so that is the question for Wasian, is how can you slow this down? This last turn was a development turn, so you kind of have to sacrifice 4. That is probably just happening, as we do see a Stupefy is going to at least attempt to make this trade, but that is going to come at a cost with the deflect from the Pouty Poro. And I think Solt's position ends up being really nice because we actually know that there is the Ride the Wind, so there is even more potential to try and get an additional Conquer, or at least to play around this Stupefy and not just let the trade go through. Solt can try and push to 4 points on this turn.
Going to be delaying definitely the Darius Cleave combo as well as this Dr. Mundo as we see in hand here. The trade is fine here, coming out completely clearing Zon. Let's see what the draw is here. Fox is claimed in the hand of Wasian. On the other side, we see a flash.
Yeah, and I was curious what the direction Sold was going to go. He decides to commit the Darius. I was wondering if he'd try and hold that back in favor of doing something like Ride the Wind, but I think he is very much looking to keep this Vi Ride the Wind combo. He's on Zon Warren, so it's going to be a pretty big stack that you're able to get for this Vi. And all that matters is you get to 6 points. So even if this somewhat were to sacrifice the Darius, you would not be too worried. And he had the flash to defend. So end of the day, loses out to Falling Star, but any kind of attack into the Darius with Cleave or any other spells targeting the Zon Warren's location, he had this flash available to just move Darius back and look to get that that Conquer.
And you see it coming out here, defensive play, being able to flash back the Kaisa to avoid that Falling Star.
The Void Seeker for that one, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Void Seeker.
No,
Thank you. Yeah, and then Kaisa coming out here onto the Reaver's Row. We see here, what? In the other hand, oh, that's the Void Seeker on the... Okay, my apologies, I'm keeping up now.
I'll attack here.
Attacking now for Noxus Hope, trying to get the tempo back. And obviously, looking at the hands, we can see that he's able to be a lot more aggressive on this play.
Scarred Watcher.
Do you think...
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you think Soul is able to... maybe not. I was going to say the defensive play of like casting out and then being more defensive on the flash, but he might want to push pressure here.
Yeah, I think one of the big things for Soldout is getting to 6 in position with Vi Ride the Wind available. And that's going to be the big thing to look for. And this hand is not quite going to allow it, but what I love here is you can send this in.
On my priority, I'll cast Cleave on the Kaisa.
Send this in, buffing up.
Cleave. Did Wasian already pass?
Yeah, I'll just retreat.
Must have.
I'll get a point. I'll draw a card.
That's interesting.
Didn't have. It's unfortunate. I think they played that slightly wrong because you're supposed to do attack and defend triggers first,
right,
and then move to the action phase there. So kind of revealed some information to Wasian that didn't need to come through. If Wasian decided to stay in, it could have been a bit of a blowout. But I love the use of Ride the Wind here from Soldout because you want to get your Vi in position with Vi Ride the Wind when you're at 6 points. He's going to 6 from conquering with the Kaisa, and now he gets to move her back, and he can play Annie to rebuy that Ride the Wind to set up for the Vi on the next turn to end the game. So this is well within Soldout's hands to end the game. The Ride the Wind is back. He's got a 9 stack for this Vi to push her up to 12. There is not really anything that Wasian can do because when we look at the runes, there's not even the option to go conquer something in Jam Mundo.
Yeah, just completely incredible the way that he was able to bounce those between the battlefield and gain this tempo. We'll see what Wasian has to offer. Not a lot in terms of being able to handle this with our information known in the hands, but you can see here playing out the Kaisa. contemplating now what to do next. Thought process maybe.
Let's go ahead and FOP the Kai'Sa.
Okay, he's just
There
gonna.
you go.
Yep, there it is.
You might as well use the resources that you've got, right? So Soul decides,
Yeah.
okay, well, if you think you need to draw a card, I'm not going to let you draw a card. So he fighter flights the Kai'Sa back, not allowing any filtering for Wei Jin. And Soul, this game is locked up based on the hand knowledge. We know
Right.
Soul has Vi Ride the Wind.
Yeah.
Oh, technically.
Obviously, Wei Jin trying to play this to the best of his ability, but doesn't know the pure power that exists
Yeah,
in
that's fine.
Soul's hand currently.
Score.
Again, playing out Noxus Hope again,
Discard.
back onto the battlefield.
Dr.
Contemplating
Mundo.
now.
That makes sense.
Discarding Mundo. Let's see here. Falling Star drawn. Well, I don't think much has changed with
For
anything
one.
that's happened now. Taps
Stupefy,
out,
targeting
stupefies.
That
The
resolves.
Kai'Sa, and it resolves. I mean,
No, I mean, Wei Jin's in a position to play the Falling Star, can set up to
Oh,
clear the
true.
board. You can be in a great position considering the board state. We just know Soul's hand. We know
Right.
that Soul has Vi plus Ride the Wind, and Wei Jin knows that Ride the Wind was
I
just
will
bought back by Annie, so I think he can assume the writing is on the wall here. You're going to get that Vi in, pop 12, up to 15, Ride the Wind to
Wow.
one location, gank to the other.
yeah.
Good game. Not going to be
GG.
anything that you can do
One,
on
two,
3 runes
purple
to
ring.
stop this.
Really clean game coming out here from
Yeah,
Soul.
you got it.
Really utilizing it, and a handshake comes out, and we move on to game 2. Wow, brilliant play.
Yeah, I mean, that is just beautiful from Soul. This is the mastery he has over Annie, though. This is the deck. This is the only deck Soul likes to play. He's got a couple other pet decks he's tried. I mean, he played some Leona, man after my own heart, but really, at the end of the day, he is the Annie guy, and he's constantly put work into refining it to try and be able to beat these matchups. One of the great ways to get around Kai'Sa, you need to get to 6, and then you do the Vi thing from hand, right? You need to not ever allow an opportunity for Kai'Sa to actually interact with your Vi before you're able to play the Ride the Wind, which is exactly what Soul did. Do everything you can to get to 6 points, even sacrificing an early Darius, not saving it for later, just making sure it gets the points. And then get to 6 and send it for the end of the game. It's beautiful. Purple Annie stubborn in the champion zone so that you can just rebuy Ride the Wind and you get to use one earlier to help you get to 6. It's a very, very strong strategy. Just revolves around finding the Vi. But on Zon Warrens, you're filtering so much, you're always going to find her.
Yeah, just a reincarnate, essentially, of Annie bot from the League of Legends game. I mean, he's
There you
been
go.
able to pilot this deck masterfully, and we can tell he has a lot of comfortability, obviously, into this really big meta pick. Interested to see what the players are choosing here for the sideboard options. Anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, I'm going to take a look quickly at the sideboard. I think we could potentially see Gust as an option for Soul to come in. I'm not sure exactly what cards he'd consider cutting out. I think the Vayne is not as strong in this matchup because Kai'Sa doesn't like to leave her units on base that frequently, so we may see some cuts there. The Gust can be nice to just flip the script when Kai'Sa is able to put some of the early units on board. Just gusting them away can be pretty decent. But when I look over at the Kai'Sa side from Wei Jin, I think that's where really there becomes some sideboarding opportunities, and it may be that you need something like the smoke screen to just slow something down to try and get a little bit more value. You know there's some removal spells, so a third retreat is actually kind of reasonable. And from there, I mean, mostly these main decks line up pretty decently into each other. Mundo certainly has to come out, and the question is which card do you really value the most? Is it a smoke screen, a cleave, a retreat? I don't really see much reason for a Cathian Rain or Time Warp in this matchup.
No, and I think the priority really should be on Smokescreen in order to mitigate a lot of that pressure that Soul is applying on to him in this game. But we're already into game 2. Wow, quite hasty. We're already out onto the field. And then we have it's a little bit blurry on my side. My apologies. Is that a Raven Bloom?
Yep, Raven Bloom student for Wasianswag has gone down. It is back over to his turn. A second student will get slammed, and he actually has the Noxus Hopeful in hand. So really nice
Wow.
turn 2. 2 drop
Yeah.
into Hopeful. just get a lot of pressure on the board. And as we see on the side of Souledout, the Gust did end up coming in. I was curious. It does feel like it'd be reasonable for this matchup, and
I'll pass
that
it.
is going to be one of the things that Soul decides to pick up.
Go up with Poro. Trigger Targons.
Up with Poro, triggering
5,
Targons.
1.
He's gonna full tap
Kaisa.
out and bring out the Kaisa onto the
Trigger
other
Kaisa, yeah.
battlefield. He's gonna draw up, and we get another.
Ready. 2 runes and pass.
Is that a yes?
Right.
Another stacked deck.
Oh, I think Soul missed his Annie trigger, I guess, because he's triggered Targons, which would ready 2 runes at the end of his turn, and then Annie would ready the other 2 runes.
So
I think
he should be
Soul should be
fully-
on 4 runes here, and I think just maybe this is a spot these players have been playing very quickly, rapid pace, just missing something going a little bit too quickly. And I wonder if that's actually going to hurt at all. He should have access to be able to play these stack decks in response to Wasian moving into the point, and then try and find an answer actually for the combat. So we'll see if it ends up being a problem. I expect the stack decks to be deployed in response to try and actually find a couple of answers for Soul in general, or even just to make use of these extra runes.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how Wasian's gonna defend this. Sees he's going into the Dreaming Tree, going in with the Noxus,
For
and then
one,
just
I will
contesting it.
do-
Probably gonna cleave it after this, most likely, just to have the ability to maintain board state.
Yeah, so Dreaming Tree makes Cleave a
I'll
bit
do,
better than Stupefy generally here, because you're going to be able to cycle it, but instead
Okay.
deciding to lead with the Stupefy.
Alright, I'll draw.
I'll go.
Fine,
1 for stack.
it's just gonna give him another draw. He goes into looks like it's going to be another Hex Tech
Grab this
Ray.
one.
Yeah, I think I understand why he's going for the Stupefy line. I think he wants to actually just play the Ray to deal with the Kaisa, so he's trying to keep his material on board, keep the hopeful
grab
around instead of letting it
This one.
just clear it off with the Stupefy. He's maybe
Okay,
considering
that's
just
what-
raying it. Wanted to keep that option open,
That's
but he
actually
does just win the trade anyway.
Results.
And so he gets
I scored
to
twice
clear
this turn,
everything away, score 2
triggered
points,
the
and
fan.
leave Sold with
Mhm.
nothing for now.
Yeah, and you see from the
For
stacked,
4, Kaisa in the back.
you can see he picked out a Falling Star, and then as well as was it a Darius or didn't? No, it wasn't. I didn't see the other card.
Yeah, he grabbed
unfortunately.
the Darius from the stack
Pass
deck,
it
and then
to
Falling
yourself.
Star is the other one.
Oh, okay, so
The
yeah,
two. So exactly
easy,
right.
easy enough. And then coming out here is another Void Seeker, being able to have a lot more presence in clearing the board. See where he goes from this. I think the angle is not, could be double Starfall, but it'd be kind of a waste. on
Yeah, it's
damage
really
on-
difficult. These 4s, I mean, the
They're
reason that
tough.
they've been included in the deck is because of Kaisa herself, but the main card that you're playing around with 4 might breakpoints is Falling Star. And so the fact that that is what Sold is kind of having access to in this hand is a struggle. And you got to pay full price for those as Annie versus Kaisa being able to get that reduction with the Daughter of the Void Legend ability. So if you're playing a Falling Star, that's 2 more runes coming back, and you're not being able to get those. And so casting multiples in a single turn or even in a single game can be really difficult for the Annie deck to maintain. The question really becomes, can you just start to cycle out with the Void Seeker potentially? Gonna just Gust to lead things off, trying to slow down Wasian a little bit.
Yeah, and then we can see here full
Darius.
tapping
Darius.
into the Darius. Very easy, simple play. Just going to try
go-
and contest, most likely, after it get buffed to 7.
This is loses to Smoke Screen if you just send it in.
Go Darius.
So just gonna go to conquer the other side.
Sounds good.
I think I wonder if Sold is considering the potential of casting this Ride the Wind on the Darius in response to Wasian trying to take Targon's Peak from him. We'll see what ends up coming of this, with 4 runes this time actually being untapped properly by Sold. I know he must have recognized it last turn and been
He
like,
heard
damn,
us.
I should have had some additional runes to try and defend this. This time around is going to have everything he needs.
I'll attack.
He felt a disturbance in the force, if you will.
So
Someone with his
Hex
caliber,
Tech
he
Ray.
just recognized. He's like, wait a minute. Why are all of my resources up? Cleave coming out here. Pretty normal. Being able to get over onto this Darius and clean up that.
Cleave resolves, yeah.
So Cleave resolves, but now the question is, do you ride the win the Darius away, try and conquer the other side, go to 4 points?
We'll go 1-2 and a purple. We'll ride.
Yeah, and
There
that's
we
just
go.
the move out here. Easy jump over into the battlefield, being able
So how
to.
does this work? Is
clear
this
out.
showdown like over now, or?
The showdown's gonna resolve, so you're gonna draw your card and get your point, and then the showdown's gonna happen.
All right.
Exactly as Sold said, that
Mhm.
first showdown resolves,
This
Kaisa
showdown
scores. The pending
is-
showdown now is going to
We
be
only played one card
Darius
so far, right?
trying to
Yeah.
attack
correct.
into
Uh,
this Noxus Hopeful,
you are
and
considered to be
unfortunately for
attacking.
Sold, this is where the blowouts come through. This is the struggle of this matchup. X-Tech Ray
So
is just going to
one,
make these
Ray's
trade.
Darius.
Yeah, and I don't think the misplay early on is gonna allude to
Um,
anything that could have happened here. It's
That
just
resolves.
Wasian was able to get a lot of tempo, and
Yeah,
especially with that
something
Noxus play early on, establish a lot of
Uh,
board presence, and from there it felt pretty easy. We'll see
The
if there's any
resolves.
turnaround here, but with knowledge in hand, it
Yeah,
seems pretty
no, we're good.
unlikely. Trades out the board, Kaisa still remains.
Okay, so it's my turn.
Yep.
The point tempo in favor of
Right.
Kaisa going up to 4 already. Sold was not able to
That's
get to
what
4, so
right, yeah.
he is on an odd cadence instead of evens. Does not have any units in hand as of right now. Double Falling Star and Void Seeker and runes heavily taxed throughout this game.
For 5.
Any Stubborn still available, and you could
Darius in
potentially
the
even
back.
just do it to grab something like a stack deck, try and start digging for more,
And
but
I'll-
at a certain point, that's so much desperation
see.
that the game is likely just done from there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a scoop from Sold after this next turn cycle if he can't find something to really put things together. But we're going to start with Void Seeker, see what draw can come through, and clean up a little bit of what Wasian has on the board. Second
just another
flash
flash.
drawn.
Tough.
And then we'll Falling Star the Darius.
Not out of it
Just
yet,
going to use the
though.
spells for now. Only 3 runes left,
Doing
but
best.
able to clear up a lot of what Wasian had. So slowing down the game quite a bit, seeing what can come of it. The next few draws are going to be massively telling for Sold.
Hoping and praying for the top deck gods to give him something good here. Meanwhile, Wasian just debating on how to play this most efficiently as possible. Of course, looking at a really big disadvantage on the opposite side. Wants to play a clean game and close it out here. Most likely,
I'll
probably.
move here.
I have no response.
Oh,
on that.
Action.
just move to
I'll
attack
cleave,
and then
waste
cleaves. Yep.
second
That's
draw.
fine.
Score.
Draws.
Yes.
Draws
For
8.
4.
Spirit Mother goes
Right
4 and plays it out.
That resolves.
Go here.
Yep, just going to
Yeah,
use
no
that to
response
keep
to
the
that.
point tempo going, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
have to commit
Trigger.
Thousand-Tailed Watcher yet.
Yes.
Able to still get that
2.
accelerate in.
Student in the back.
Develop the board massively. You're going to get your 2
Wow.
runes refunded
Pull
from
the back.
Targon's Peak so that
Yeah.
you've got this Hextech Ray up.
Pass. End of turn. Restand 2.
So much might available on the back ranks.
I can see.
There's the vibe. I read the win's great,
Yeah.
but it's just not going to do enough. There's the scoop from Sold. And we're going to a game 3.
3. How exciting. The
And we know the battlefields for this one. It's
yes.
going to be Arena's Greatest. And on the other side for Wasian, it will be
Reaver's Row.
Zon Warrens.
Oh,
This
Zon
is not great for Kaisa, I will say, because that is giving another Zon Warrens game. Oh. No, Zon Warrens was Annie's game 1. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on me.
Yeah, it'll give Zon Warrens to Annie for a second game.
Yeah, and that's just as we can tell from how game 1 goes. It was really easy for her to be advantageous on that battlefield and continuously keep up the tempo and kind of overwhelm Wasian like we saw in game 1. Obviously, the draws didn't go in favor of Soul this game, but I don't think either player makes really any changes to the sideboards. I'm sure they're probably speculating and maybe like changing out the numbers on some cards, but I felt like the gusts were fine. Maybe going down to 2 might be the right play, but I'm fine with 3 staying in. It didn't seem like it was that big of a hindrance. And on the side of Wasian, what was it? Was it an extra cleave? Did we see 3 cleaves that game?
We didn't see exactly what it could have been. It's possible that it was Cleave. I'm confident that the Mundo is out, but I'm curious if Mundo
Right.
comes back in, since Zon Warrens is the pick for game 3 from Wasian. It's the only battlefield they have left. But because Soul basically gets to play 2 battlefields that they wanted. Arena's Greatest is not as, guaranteed to be good into Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa can kind of race you for the points, so it just shortens the game, which is not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing either. But Zonwarns is certainly something that Annie kind of loves to see to get going in these games. So we are going to get into that game 3, Souledout versus Wasianswag. This has been a very tight series between the two. I mean, somewhat of a blowout game 1 for Soul, blowout for Wasian on the second game. And it's going to come down to battlefields at the end. And really, the question is does Soul draw a good enough early game to kind of manage through this Arena's Greatest and lock things down? We're seeing the mulligans come out. The Vayne was still kept in the deck for Soul, but he does ship it away. And a double draw of the Thousand-Tailed Watchers for Wasian. Both of those are going to get shipped back in the mulligan.
Yeah, and Soul's able to get back a Vi for it. I think it's a perfectly fine. Kind of curious to his thought process of why keeping the Vayne in. Just gonna start off with an easy start off with a Vayne. That's 15 fun.
Yeah, 15 Vi. That was the same Vi that was played in game 1.
Yeah, it stays, by the way, the whole entire game.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, pretty easy and simple here coming out against Student. I do see here the possible curve being a lot more beneficial for Soul, just due to the fact that we're able to know hand knowledge comparatively to Wasian. I mean, sure, he has like Stupefy and more spells to clear, but agency, well, that kind of helps.
Yeah, I love this patience from Souledout. I think you can't really afford to just ship in the Void Seeker right away, or sorry, the Vi right away. If it dies, I think it's pretty. I mean, it's not game over, but it just puts you in such a bad spot if your Vi dies right away. Even though you're trying to angle for that 2 points, start getting the ball rolling, you just kind of have to respect either Void Seeker or the Ray. You have to kind of respect a lot of different things. And unfortunately for Soul, he does get punished for this line because he does play directly into Falling Star. However, with the Pouty Portal, there's that extra deflect. So at least the rune advantage is going to come to the side of Soul.
Yeah, most definitely here. I mean, he can use hand stack to basically regain. Yeah, and he's going to do that right now to gain some sort of tempo back and hopefully be able to find something advantageous to go into, and a second Kai'Sa. That'll do.
And
yeah, I like the Kaisas. We talked about the 4 breakpoint being something that's impactful. He knows his opponent is tapping out here, and so he's definitely going to accelerate Kai'Sa on this next turn, draw a card. He might be sacrificing it to, it might be going down on the following turn, but you're at least going to clear away a Ravenbloom Student. You're going to draw an additional card. You're going to filter a little bit with Zonwarren. So you start to get towards much better circumstances for yourself. And I think, being able to filter down to another Kai'Sa survivor that you can accelerate out and try and score. You've got a Darius in hand. There's a lot going for Soul, and the question is, can he find another Vi plus Ride the Wind, or does he even need it to close out the game?
I think the question of if he really needs it is going to be really apparent soon on right now. I mean, Fight or Flight coming in hidden, but being able to have a lot more agency in terms of a defensive play here, kind of dealing with a lot of the clear spells that would be maybe lurking in Wasian's hand that he might not know about. Really happy with the line here. And just, yeah.
Yeah, so I love hiding the Fight or Flight there. If Void Seeker or any spell that targets the location comes out, you can respond because it's hidden.
Right.
So hidden adds reaction speed to Fight or Flight, which would normally be an action card. So while you could use Fight or Flight from hand to just bounce your Kai'Sa back to play around things that decrease her might and then units coming in, if a spell were to be sent in, the only way to save her is with that Fight or Flight. And knowing that your plan is probably just to send 5 resources again, accelerate a new Kai'Sa, and ship it in, this makes a lot of sense to me. Unfortunately for Soul, there is going to be a response this time, and it is just going to make the Kai'Sa trade. But he's still on even points, and he can start to look for these kind of laddering from 2 to 4 to 6 later on, as though he is going to be just a little behind Wasian.
Yeah, that's definitely retreat coming out on the draw phase here. Just holding back with Noxus. We'll see if he moves it into a battlefield or if he's going to stay a little bit more patient on the play. I mean, and we have like a good setup turn over for Soul. We understand his play is just going to be Kai'Sa and kind of hold on to it and maybe play out the Darius later on, depending on how his draws. Yeah.
That resolves.
And Wasian decides to attack on
Score.
the Zon
I'll
Warrens.
discard, stupefy, and draw a card.
Discard, draw, a little bit of filter, and gets another
Four in the
retreat.
back. I'll pass. to you.
Isaac coming out.
Yeah, no point in accelerating it. You've already gone to 4, right? This is exactly one of those matchups where you're just trying to continue to push for that, 2, 4, 6, 8 breakpoint, and Wasian recognizing that, gonna save the rune, not wanting to use too many resources. But right now, Sold is ahead in resources overall. I mean, it's about even, with Wasian actually having material on the board when Sold does not. And so the question really just becomes, what can you do to try and beat this? Going to Falling Star the Kaisa twice. This is going to get punished hugely by the retreat.
Incredible reaction there. Knowing to hold, and then immediately playing out sneaky deckhand.
Yep.
Just for 2, nothing crazy, but does get punished heavily there. And now Wasian back in the driver's seat. Stupefy is the draw.
It's tough because the Falling Star, I mean, it can put you in such a good position if the retreat is not there, but unfortunately it loses so heavily to the retreat. There's going to be an Accelerate. Annie able to ready this Void Seeker because of Annie's ability getting 2 runes back, and that's just going to get retreated again, I would imagine. That will still allow the card draw for Sold, but he has to keep dealing with this Survivor that keeps coming back over and over again, really living up to the moniker on this Red Kaisa card.
A really big nuisance coming out of here. Hopefully he'll be able to get some his draws more favorable for him. Obviously resources looking really dire for Soul. And with the known knowledge of what we have in hand, obviously we can say that, if we get some clear spells and maybe some bad draws, it will shift back into Soul's favor. But I think Wasian currently is looking really, really poised in this game. 3.
Wow, lets this resolve.
Interesting.
Not sending the second retreat to get there, and instead just going to respond with a Void Seeker of his own, not let Sold get to 4 points, keeping him on odds. At least for now, but this is 5 resources again, and Sold did draw the 3rd Kaisa Survivor, and he's saying, you know what, I just need some more cards. Get me in there.
Let me get a little bit more draw.
A little more points.
I need a little bit more resources. Help me out. Maybe something to help out this deck or this board state currently. Ooh, another sneaky deckhand trying to ease its way over into the next turn. And we come back with...
It works out. I mean,
yeah.
Ride the Wind was picked up. So I just want to call that out because the stream can't see the hands. We see the hands. So Ride the Wind is picked up when Sold is able to filter through with the Zon Warrens. When this comes in, there is the ability to respond to this by trying to conquer over to Arena's Greatest and get another card draw just to continue rolling, get up to 5. You'll get to 6 the next turn if you're able to hold and just cheat some extra points through. The problem is you go down once again to 5 runes coming into your next turn, which is not the greatest. And I think at a certain point, though, with the Stupefy coming down, Sold is running out of options. You can't just let this Kaisa Survivor die for free. He's going to fall too far behind Wasian, but maybe just trying to take the other side can get him there.
I was definitely kind of curious to see what lines they take here. Hoping that Soul has a little bit more advantageous play going into the next turn. You see here Stupefy sitting on the board, and then here comes the stacked hand. See what he gets off of it. 1 resource remaining. Off the top. That might be a little bit easier to help him clear off the board. Void Seeker. Do you think Soul still is able to ride this curve out, or do you think he's kind of stuck in his current state, going to be meddling around 4 as a cap?
I mean, looking at the hand, right, there's 3 power costs already. Any Stubborn has a power cost, which is going to pull back a spell that's also going to have a power cost. So
yeah,
I think Soul is kind of stuck here. Not going to be able to get that much more. And that's a warp drawn up for Wasian.
Ooh.
That might be able to just seal the deal on the following turn. Going to be able to have that many resources next time around. So just playing everything at base at 6 points. I'm pretty sure Warp just makes it not possible for Soul to win now. This is kind of that checkmate location that you can get with Time Warp. You're at 6. Now all you have to do is conquer one side, go to 7, play the warp, the game is over.
Yeah, really easy line here. We saw him do this in the quarters as well, being able to have a really advantageous turn in that game 3. And just sticking to his game plan. Obviously, Soul has some agency in order to continue this game, but in terms of it coming to a close, it's looking pretty unlikely for him. We'll see how he reacts to what's currently going on the board. Probably just going to be playing out the Void.
I mean, it's tough, right? You can't really make a Darius play because of only 6 runes.
Yeah.
You want to develop something onto the board because you need to stop Wasian from being able to double conquer next turn. But it may just have to start with Void to even get some space. I'm not seeing a line that gets sold out of this situation.
I've been staring at this hand for a minute now, and I'm not seeing it either. Obviously, he moves forward with the Void, draws another one.
Yeah, another Void, but one Void Seeker is not going to be able to defend against all this. I mean, I guess in theory, holding up 3 runes to make sure that you can play this Void Seeker into the Noxus Hopeful could prevent you from losing on the spot. I think it's the best out that Soul has.
Yeah,
it's the best thing that he can do.
I think
the problem is it is not going to beat this Time Warp in hand.
Yeah, I think he did the best that he could do with the hand given, but you know, with us knowing what's coming, what's on the horizon, it's gonna be tough to sway this match in any other way. Obviously, Void coming out here to clear the Noxus, and then what?
That Rebuke actually can prevent this game from ending.
Wow.
That is one of the side cards I was not sure was going to see play, but rebuking Darius here buys you a little bit more space.
Saying no response.
He doesn't respond because he doesn't know about the warp.
No, he doesn't know that had to be the interaction to occur there in order to make sure he has some sort of playability into this game further, but allowing it to get to 7 makes this such...
And there's the warp. Souledout says, I see.
ya.
Good game.
And that is going to do it. I totally see why he did not go for the rebuke. I think trying to set up his following turn, not wanting to utilize the runes just yet, but end of the day, that was the only way he could save himself from what was lurking in the wings. The Time Warp, as Wasianswag will make the finals on Kaisa, ensuring that we have a Kaisa mirror match as the grand finals in Riftlab Trial II. Kaisa will be winning this tournament. The question just is, which one?
Yeah. And again, Time Warp being a big player for Wasian in both of his matches currently in the top 8. Seeing a lot of just game closers, especially because there are a lot of the opponents are more dedicated on being a little bit more defensive or playing a little bit more patiently to be able to clear out board states. But in the end of the day, Time Warp just gets there. It's a very powerful card. And excited to see how the Kaisas play it out in the finals.
Yeah, and if you want to catch that finals, please head on over to twitch.tv/Riftlab. That's going to be it for us on the co-stream. Thanks, Dalton, for coming on and helping us out with this semifinal. I'm going to be headed over to that main broadcast to jump on for grand finals alongside Silent Knight and the Blevin. So please catch us over there. Thanks for supporting the Turn 'em Sideways code stream. We did the alternate lobbies. We have a podcast that we do every week called The Winning Point. So make sure to subscribe and follow along for plenty more Riftbound content. We've got some really exciting announcements coming up in the next month or so. So please stay tuned on our socials for all that. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you over on the other stream.